Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for coming along, and it is fantastic to have some people in the public gallery here today. And we have three speakers. First up, we're going to have David and Vanessa Edwards, and they're speaking on the proposed Bondi Wind Farm, and they're speaking to Council regarding matters relating to the Mayoral Minute that's coming up shortly. So, David and Vanessa, I'll invite you to the front. And David and Vanessa have asked to speak for 6 minutes, which I've allowed, and then councillors, we can ask them questions. You can start whenever you like.
Hello all, we are Vanessa and David Edwards. We are here on behalf of concerned community residents. We wish to discuss a project which will profoundly degrade our skyline and affect our community for decades. At the core of this is conflict of interest. In 2021, the state government changed the Forestry Act to encourage wind farm development in state forests. As the sole shareholder of Forestry Corporation, they profit from and support the development. Forestry Corp have engaged Neoen and as such can only respond glowingly of the development, including their own forestry employees. Neoen has a dashboard full of green lights from government and Forestry Corp, downloadable tick box documents, state significant status and full fast track processes. The conflict of interest emerges when the state government that profits from the development becomes the sole approval authority, unless we can get it to independent scrutiny. What can we do? The DA for the Bondi Wind Farm will possibly be lodged in November. When it is, this is the only opportunity for the development to be independently scrutinised and the only time we will see the final plan. As a council, a formal objection submitted during the short 28-day public display period automatically sends the project to independent scrutiny. This is a very powerful tool. 50+ unique community responses add even more strength to council objections. Council must be very clear and very specific about what they are willing to accept well before November and stand with the community. If the DA does not address the clear and specific objections, fight for them. The 4-week window makes it very difficult to read the DA, formulate a response and submit. How does council propose to address this constraint? Maybe an extraordinary meeting or two? Of further concern, the reality is that approximately 164 turbines, potentially up to 300 metres tall, will be starkly visible from Tumut and surrounding farms and recreational areas day and night. This development negatively impacts our town in a unique way, as no other wind farm development has been proposed that sits front and centre, dominating the skyline of a large rural community. We must insist that turbines on the nearest ridges be removed. The lack of accurate topographical map to interpret the project further restricts accurate public scrutiny. Tumut is a town of natural beauty. Our economy, our tourism, our quality of life are tied to that landscape. Once these turbines are built, the view is gone. For your lifetime, for your children's lifetime. No amount of community benefit payment gives that back. Interestingly, the Neoen scoping report has Tumut Township sitting approximately 5 kilometres outside the boundary of its visual impact study. We are not even a consideration. Is any of this acceptable to the council? Naturally occurring asbestos. The naturally occurring asbestos is associated in the Bondi Forestry, associated with serpentinite rock formations in a belt that stretches from Young to near Tumut and Kyandra. That belt runs directly through proposed development. Building a wind farm requires massive earthworks. Roads must be widened and extended through the plantation, blasting for concrete foundations and trenching for pavement. These activities are a checklist of what should not occur where NOA is present. Naturally occurring asbestos becomes a risk when it is disturbed. When asbestos-bearing rock or soil is broken, crushed, excavated, or worse still, blasted. The inhalation of asbestos fibres is linked to mesothelioma, lung cancer, and asbestosis, diseases that may not appear for 20 years or more after exposure. If it's windy enough to spin turbines, it's windy enough to disperse asbestos fibres. into clothing, roads, vehicles, tree bark to be transported and milled and brought into our community. The widening of the Hume Highway in Coolac experienced significant delays and an eventual reroute to avoid disturbing the same NOA belt that extends through this proposed development. It was important enough for that, but is breezed over in a few lines by NEOM. The community deserves to know that they face a potential asbestos risk and that all risk has been mitigated. All risk. In 26, it would surely be unacceptable to risk community exposure, particularly for an environmental project. This must be a firm, non-negotiable condition before any approval is granted. Is any of this objectionable to the council? I want to close with a question about legacy. Every councillor elected to serve this community will be remembered for their action or inaction when faced with detrimental projects like this one. Will this council be remembered as the one that demanded full transparency on asbestos risks, that insisted that the visual character of Tumut be protected? Or will it be remembered as the council that waved through this project without a genuine fight? How hard our community pushes back, how rigorously the environmental impact is scrutinised, how loudly our concerns are heard is entirely in our hands. We owe NEOM nothing. The DA is expected to be lodged in November 26. That is our window. I hope we can work collaboratively to ensure we make the most of the opportunity along with other affected councillors. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to speak today.
Well done. Right on 6 minutes. Vanessa, if you'd just like to wait, there will be some questions from councillors. Councillor Sheldon.
Hi, Vanessa. Good to see you again. You said 5 kilometres outside the recognised zone. Could you please explain that a little bit more in depth for me, please?
David's my map man.
Yes. Just going through the
Love the
NEOM
window.
scoping report, when they've done the visual analysis, they've got a circle of what the zone that they've considered as having some visual impact. And again, the information is topographic, or it's actually but the township of Tumut, which work out is about 5 kilometres outside that circle where they've submitted their visual analysis.
And was that the government?
That's
Said
the
that-
NEOM scoping report.
Thank
So
you.
it is in part of their scoping report.
But it's no state legislation.
No, that's what they've presented in their scoping report.
Thank you.
Could I just ask the independent scrutineer? Can you tell me about that?
So if we put an objection in as a council or as the community, we get that 50+ or council alone objecting, that then goes to an independent body to scrutinise the project. And as we're saying, this is the only opportunity outside that closed loop that we get to have someone to have a look at the project and say, okay, it's not invested in the project, that have the chance to look at the merits or otherwise community impact.
Without the
et cetera.
conflict.
Without a conflict, exactly right. So it's really important that the concerns we do have, they get in at that 28-day window. And as we said, how can councillors 28 days analyse and submit? Very tight time frame. That's a concern because we united, if we do object to things, we need to make sure we get that analysed by someone who's not in that loop.
Yes.
So the council alone triggers it to independent scrutiny, but with the 50+ signatures as well, that makes
That
it
they
even
can
more
read.
powerful.
Yeah. Councillor Thompson.
Just on that, the 50+ unique means that they need to be 50 individual, not the same one with just
Exactly
different names.
Yeah.
So people need to be writing their concerns in their words
Exactly
and
right.
raising it, which
We
is,
disregard it otherwise.
yeah, which is a really important thing for everyone to understand that that's what needs to happen. The other thing that you also noticed, I'm just trying to figure out, you actually said that you want the nearest turbines to be removed, which gives a slight conflict on you don't, there's some aspects of the project that you don't disagree with, but the other aspects, or are you just saying we don't?
Okay, so we've had 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think we're speaking from the perspective of Tumut community, living in a Chuma community,
Yep.
we're affected very differently to those who are living amongst it
Yep.
and near neighbours, I suppose. So that's the points we've tried to say, well, okay, well, what's going to impact Chuma most significantly? And we certainly stand 100% with the Bondo group.
Yep.
Power to them if they are successful. But I think there is an opportunity at this time when the DA goes in to say, well, if it is going to go through, what can we actually get modified to make it less impactful?
So, Madam Mayor, through you, if I may, to our Director of Relation to Planning, is there the opportunity for council to request a longer than 28-day period for submissions? Because the reality is that we all are frustrated by the fact that state significant projects have a tendency to go through to the keeper without a great deal of community consultation or input.
No chance.
Yeah, so I'm wondering, is there a way that we can even approach the planning and ask for that to be extended so that there's the fair opportunity for everybody to read the documents, to see the attachments and be able to make a significant submission?
Absolutely. We previously have done this for a number of other projects like the Humulink project. We've asked for an additional time period for the community to provide their submissions. It's entirely up to the department whether they choose to accept that or not, but it is something that council can request early on.
Thank you.
If it's not granted, I'm just hoping that as the council, you can look at strategies, be it extraordinary meetings or something, to give yourself an opportunity to actually digest such a, I'm sure it won't be a 10-page document.
It's the attachments that you.
Councillor Sheldon?
I noticed there was a news article last week where it said that your group had 1,500 signatures.
This is the Bondo.
That's
The
Yeah.
Bondo
No
wind
Bondo.
farm.
So we'll say that
Direct
to
it
the
to
next
them
one.
then.
Yes,
David and Vanessa, thank you very much for your presentation. Well done, Vanessa.
appreciate it.
Our next speaker is Tina Godzinski, and Tina is going to speak on the Bondo Wind Farm proposal, impacts on Snorri Valley's local government area.
Good afternoon, councillors, and if I may, I would like to sit. I won't.
No, you
Um,
do, too. You're welcome to.
Okay.
Relax.
A bit easier. Yeah. What I want to say is some things that have already been mentioned by Vanessa and David, however, others are not. So, good afternoon, and thank you very much for allowing me to come along and address the council and the community here today. As a council, I would expect the following from you. A council needs to deliver a vision, represent the community views, and show leadership. But to me, more importantly, consider the long-term and cumulative effects for our future generations. In your Snowy Council Community Strategic Plan towards 2042, we are aware of the fact that agriculture and forestry are two of our major industries. We also note in that plan that Tumut is a great place to live due to its natural environment. Your priority number 2 for the economy in your plan is tourism. The mayoral minutes recommendations to council must incorporate these above facts. We need your support. In your recommendations, you have 9 points. The first one is concerned with the Bondo Wind Farm, and these concerns include biodiversity, Aboriginal heritage, the noise from the wind turbine generators, hazards and risks like telecommunication, traffic and fires. Fires, I believe all you councillors received a letter from one of the near neighbours by the name of Dale Garner. And in that he explained his concerns about mitigation and fire plans, and I'm sure we don't have to mention that now. As David and Vanessa have done, they've mentioned number 5 and 6 on the recommendations. I wish to cover number 2 and 7. Number 2 is concerned with the cumulative effects of the plan. Let's go down memory lane in this council area of Tumut. Progress has been here for the last 100 years. It has resumed most of some land areas for pine plantation. We've had the Snowy Mountain schemes. We've had the Taubingo township moved. We've had the flooding of Flowering to form the dam. We've had Visy Pulp and Paper. We've had Snowy 2.2 construction works continuing now. And finally, mostly we've had Transgrid HumeLink transmission lines coming over private agricultural prime land. This community has done the heavy lifting for the state and for the Commonwealth. It's tired, it's angry, it's demoralised, frustrated, and it feels powerless. But this wind farm proposal will affect all aspects of our community for the next 30 plus years. And it will not be for the better. Near neighbours within 5 kilometres of the project site are having the project imposed upon them, as are the 3 local government areas in this project. Yes, there's 164 wind turbines. There's 2 massive BESS, which are called battery energy storage systems, biggest probably in Australia. It is not on private land. It is in our pine plantation, 15 k's from here. For us, 5 k's and less, and 50 k's from Canberra. This community has had enough. Currently, we have out there private landholders are being harassed by foreign energy companies, solar farms on prime river flats. The wolves are at our door. As for community consultation number 7, where is it? Who is it? Neoen Australia has been in our midst since May 2024. It's been 2 years. But it has problems with its newsletters, its photo montages for the near neighbours, and engaging our near local community. It has never met with the near neighbours as a community group. It has never had a stall at a local show or an event. It has never accepted an invitation by the No Bondo Wind Farm Group. It has declined to come to the meeting tomorrow, but it is here today. It has not engaged the other local government area associations with the wind farm. However, we have been very lucky. We have met tourists, locals, and engaged by other local councils. And their support has been extremely positive and encouraging. Part 2 of the point 7, community benefit sharing. This is the booklet.
Tina, you've got 10 seconds.
Right, 10 seconds. Nothing has said about what they're offering our community. 3 other energy companies in the state of New South Wales talk about $100 million for their near neighbours. Community benefits, 80 million. This is simple. The council must support this mayoral minute because your community is relying on you. Thank you.
Thank you, Tina. Any questions? Councillor Works.
Yeah.
Great.
Spoke well. I was just going to ask about, I know you sort of mentioned the bushfire risk and the forestry industry in terms of the local community, the economy. Can you just speak to the potential dangers of having these wind turbines in a pine plantation?
Look, I think it is such a broad area, but those of us who have lived through bushfires up in the pine plantation, 2006, when it went all the way through to Canberra, we were near neighbours. At times we were not allowed to go home. All right, the devastation that fire caused was amazing. We've got people like the Brenda Pillars that we know. We have lived through those experiences. We all know the Duns Road fire that came through, that completely ripped out Green Hills. All right, and unfortunately in that circumstance, there was a fatality. So we are not just guessing this information, we live it. Over the last Christmas, there was on the Billow shortcut also a fire. However, due to changes in some of the local RFS procedures, there was an amazing turn up to put that out. That fear lives with us throughout all our summers and has for at least 20 years. We still don't know what is on the table in terms of management plans for the fire concerns that we have. So, as I said, Dale has already explained that in his part when he sent you all that letter. But as I said, it is the major fear in the petition that we are presenting to the community, because it also, may I just go back to the Duns fire, when we all were invited to come to meetings locally, everyone came out. When it affects you personally, you will protect what is yours. And that's when we have seen the community rally around. That went to Talbingo, it went right across coming up to Yarrangobilly. As I said, it came right over from Wagga. It is a big fear. And we have seen them explode. We've seen the pine forest explode. We know how important this pine forest is to our timber industry. But there are gaps in some of the negotiations with Neowen. We'll give you one example. We've already been aware of the fact that they've put out
I think we've gone off the question, now,
Okay.
but thank you.
Yeah.
Councillor Sheldon has a question.
I was leading to it the other night on TV when they had the news section.
Mhm.
They were talking about the petition.
Correct.
Is it true that the government still requires 10,000 signatures on that petition as mentioned on the news
Correct.
article? Thank you.
Correct. May I explain that? Before we put that petition out, we did have a meeting with our independent member for our area, Dr. Joe McGurran, and he led us through the procedure on how to put a petition out, either online or 10,000 signatures. And so we have gone through that process with him, and that's what we're working towards.
Councillor Thompson.
Thank you for your passion.
Determination, I like. to
You
call
did
it.
well. You did well. The query that I have, and it hasn't really been raised up until this point, and I'm wondering if either yourself or the other interested parties have actually considered the impact on the roads. And I'm not talking about the road pavement. And I'm aware that forestry is responsible for their roads or their sections of roads, but they all come out onto council maintained roads. And what we're experiencing with a lot of the renewable energy projects, whether it's the energy production or the transmission, is that horrendous increase of movements on our roads. Have either the No Bondo or anyone else actually looked at what the potential could be?
Well, at this stage, when the EIS, the Environmental Impact Statement, has to go in, one of the areas that the government wants to review in their SEER is hazards and risks, and traffic does come under that umbrella. So what our concern is, if you like, from your neighbours, and it will impact all the way across this community, is that when you have, they're expecting at peak to have 750 workers up there for a period of 4 to 6 years. Traffic, I think, is a very broad term there. Whether you're talking about them coming down the Argalong Hill, whether you're coming down Bomboli Creek, where they're going up Adjumbilly, which is one of the routes that they intend to take to bring up all of those wind turbines. So it is monumental. So as I said, that is definitely one area that the risks and hazards that has to be addressed, as I said, in the development application.
Thank you, Tina. Any other questions? We appreciate your presentation.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
very much.
you.
Okay, and now I'll ask Emily and Clemence to speak, and they are from NEOM. And councillors, we just have to move that this is actually a presentation. It's the update on Bondo Wind Farm project. So if we could move that it is a presentation, we'll go over the 5 minutes. Do I have a mover? Councillor Thompson, seconded by Councillor Sheldon. All those in favour? Councillor Hayes? Unanimous. Thank you. Would you like to just introduce yourself?
Yes,
Thank you.
absolutely. My name's Emily Walker. I lead the New South Wales development team at Neoen. So it means I manage all the project managers who work on our various wind and battery and solar projects.
Nice to meet you. My name is Clément Sauret. So I work as a senior project manager in the team of Emily for a project in New South Wales, and I'll be the primary representative of the company for the Bondo Wind Farm, and I joined the company 3 weeks ago.
We have several project managers who you've all met at different points, by the way. Clémence is our new senior project manager. Both of us, I should add, have many years of experience developing renewable energy projects, mainly wind farm projects on and offshore wind. So yeah, the slides, there's quite a lot of text on some of the slides, but that's mainly because we've provided it to you, and I presume that you'll make that available to people, so we won't
Certainly.
talk to absolutely everything on it unless specific questions are asked. So I just, this first slide, I just really wanted to set the scene. Again, it's been several years since the government in New South Wales set targets to reduce emissions by 2030 and targeting net zero by 2050. And really, you know, the driver for this is retiring coal-fired power stations, which are all due to come offline in New South Wales between now and 2040. AEMO, the energy market operator in Australia, already forecasts that we're going to have energy shortfalls in the next 5 years. And they see renewables backed up by storage as being the fastest and cheapest way of securing energy across the country in order to meet that shortfall. I won't spend any time on that. So why Bondo is a good site, I guess, to help the government to meet these targets? Well, it's a large site. It's got lots of it's got 2 existing transmission lines that run through it. It's got excellent road access already because of the forestry operations. And it's also got pretty good wind speeds between 7 and 8 meters per second, although we've obviously got meteorological masts up there at the moment that are measuring the wind as we speak. We also as we've heard, there are about 164 turbines currently proposed, but the layout is evolving still as we have conversations with neighbours and we receive more data on various different matters. The project did just receive what's called its EPBC referral, which is a standard part of the New South Wales planning process and the federal planning process, in that the project needs to be assessed under both the EP&A Act and the EPBC Act. The EPBC Act is the federal legislation, and essentially we have to write to the DQ, ask them to confirm whether they intend to assess the project themselves or whether they're going to refer it to the Department of
Can
Planning.
you just tell us who DQ is?
Oh, sorry, the Federal Department of Environment. Yeah. So yeah, anyway, we've had confirmation that the Department of Planning in New South Wales will essentially do the bulk of the assessment work for the biodiversity elements of the project. But we still have to go through the planning process, submit an EIS, a DA application, and all of that. I'll skip over this.
And so just in terms of timeline, so we started developing this project in 2014, and we had a lot of 2024,
Yeah.
sorry. 2024, and we had a lot of studies ongoing and field surveys ongoing. So this is still ongoing until November. So we are completing all the required studies for the environmental impact assessment, and we are conducting at the moment some surveys. So we are still in the data acquisition of some wind data with our MetMast, some BATS data. We will conduct early June a noise campaign, and we will do again some photo from multiple viewpoints for the visual impact assessment. So until November, we will complete the environmental impact statement that will be submitted as part of the DA application, so November this year. And then this DA will be public, and everyone will have the opportunity to comment on this documentation for at least 28 days. But as we discussed before, it can be extended as well. And it's common to have a public exhibition for 6 weeks, for example. And then we will have to respond to all these submissions through the report to submissions, response to submission report, and it will be in June next year. There will be so probably the independent planning committee that is likely to determine the DA application. So this independent planning committee will probably run a formal meeting in 2028 and will do a site visit and meet some stakeholders locally. And then they will provide recommendation to DPHI to grant the approval for this project or to refuse the project. And in any case, even if this project is approved, it will be attached to many conditions with which we will need to comply before, during, and after the construction.
So Clemence, can you also tell us what the IPC stands for? Oh, that's the Independent
Independent
Planning,
Planning Commission.
which is
What was mentioned before. Yeah.
what David and Vanessa were talking about. Yeah, right. Okay, sorry.
So is that not-
Acronyms are not people's friends, just saying.
I was just gonna ask, is that not enacted, if it's not a submission by council? It says here that recommended a report to the IPC visits, is if we don't put it, if there's not a council submission, are they involved or?
No, so I think someone mentioned before, if there are 50 unique objections to the project or more, which is pretty common now for wind farms in New South Wales, or a single council objection, then that would trigger the IPC. So we expect that it will go to the Independent Planning Committee.
Okay.
I would also just stress, and we've put an update on our website, I think already today, but maybe later on it'll go live. But just to set out again that people can already contact the Department of Planning about this project because it's lodged a scoping report. There's already a case officer assigned, telephone number, email address. It's provided on the major projects portal, and we put a link to where that can be found. And I very much appreciate the comment about 28 days. It's a pretty short period of time. We just did a DA modification for another project, and we just agreed to lengthen it to 6 weeks for that project. So I don't think it's unreasonable to request more.
And the DA application on public exhibition during December, January.
Yeah, well, exactly. And it would probably get extended for that reason alone anyway. So maybe that's a reason to extend it further.
I think Councillor Sheldon has.
So you've got no objection to anything being extended for a start.
No, I think in principle we're agree. I would agree that at least six weeks would be a reasonable starting point.
And look, I'm in a bit of a quandary here. We've heard a lot of people talk about the forest, the value of timber, and then the problem of getting, if there is a fire, the problem of getting firefighting equipment in to look, protect the forests and all the rest of it. My question to you is, why would you put a wind farm in such a location? Is it just because of the wind speeds, or because understanding the economic impact it would have on SVC, it would really make one sit up and think, oh, this could create a real problem economically for this whole area?
So I guess in terms of the location of the project, that was really dictated by the tender process that was run by Forestry Corporation. So that's the first, important point to note. I would say though that having been involved in a lot of wind farm projects in very different environments, this is probably the best one in terms of, minimizing environmental impacts that I have ever worked on. And that is primarily because it is located in a monoculture, in a pine plantation, which doesn't have a huge biodiversity. And it's all relative. Okay. I definitely there will be impacts.
It's just interesting that knowing that Forestry put out this tender, knowing the problems we've had with previous fires in the area, what economic and human impacts it would have on the area, by saying we're going to put a wind
Hurley
farm?
Council, Sheldon, that's addressed shortly.
Yeah, we
in
do
the
have a few
presentation.
slides on to address a few, but feel free to ask me questions if we don't respond to them. So yeah, fire is obviously something that we, we don't want to increase the risk of fire in an already sensitive environment being pine plantation. But it's something that we design into every one of our wind farm projects, regardless of the location. In Australia, bushfire is a risk everywhere. So during the design stage of the project, which will essentially be the pre-construction phase if a DA is granted, there are things like asset protection zones. We need to establish large areas where there's no vegetation to ensure that there's no fuel load, for example, around the substation, around the battery, around the base of the turbines.
How wide is that
Yeah.
payment?
So typically for a substation, it's 10 meters, but it really depends. It's also quite site specific. That is set by like state standards, but it is also acknowledged that there will be a difference between different properties and different environments. So for example, the battery that's proposed on the forestry property will have a much larger asset protection zone than a battery that is on, farmland and there's minimal vegetation around it. But in a similar way to the way that easements are created around transmission lines, it takes into the width of that easement. Yes, it's set by Transgrid or Essential Energy, for example, but it also has to take into account, the topple distance of adjacent trees, for example. So if you do have plantation, those trees might be more, they have, more shallower root bases, so they're more likely to topple. So you might look at increasing your easement widths. But also turbines themselves have inbuilt lightning protection systems. So we do get lightning strikes on things like Met masts, for example, but the Met masts, which are up there at the moment, they're heavily earthed so that we don't lose monitoring equipment if lightning strike hits. And in fact, we expect that there'll probably be a reduction within a certain radius of the turbines of lightning strikes hitting adjacent trees, simply because the turbines will be by far the tallest structure and they are earthed, so they will attract lightning. But it's not to say, electrical infrastructure comes with a degree of risk, but the likelihood of a turbine fire starting a bushfire is very, very low. And I guess, we've had detailed discussions with Forestry Code throughout this process about what we can do to increase their, visual coverage, for example, of the forest. So there is now another fire camera up on one of those Met masts to improve their existing coverage. And we've been talking about potentially putting more sort of remote monitoring equipment on top of turbines.
When we talk about using land that is Forest Corp land, and Forest Corp don't pay rates, so I'm assuming that you'd be paying rates on that land that you use. But is there also a consideration in relation to what are the tree numbers that will be excluded from being able to be planted and utilised, realising that the trees have a 30-year lifespan of needing to be planted and getting to production? I understand what you're saying, but it doesn't remove the reality of the impact on this community. If it was this and this alone, you could half understand it. But the cumulative fact of what's happening and the fact that you're taking some production away from another timber or an industry that this community really does rely on, from food production land, which is critical, it's starting to have a cumulative effect. And I don't know that you can actually put that in an environmental impact statement. So I'm just concerned that we're not talking about how many trees won't be planted, and that's for the life of the project. So that's a whole generation of trees that won't be planted around and in where those turbines are, and then also with any additional transmission that will be required. And this community gets no benefit. We don't get that energy. We don't get to use it.
Yeah, so the land, so this site is about 34,000 hectares in total. That is the investigation area that we have a permit over from Forestry Co. But the actual area that we are allowed to clear for the project is only about 660 hectares, slightly less than that. So we are seriously restricted in the amount of land that can actually be, of forestry that can actually be cleared.
I'm just, you
And
was talking
before-
about easements before. If you're restricted in the amount of clearing, doesn't that reduce your fire?
Well, the
Safety risk.
cabling is going to be underground on this project. So we won't have to clear easements like the ones that you see for overhead transmission lines. Underground cabling has much, much smaller easements.
Yeah, no, I just mean in terms of around the actual infrastructure of battery and wind turbines. I've got a few questions in regards to the fire risk.
Sorry, can I just finish answering that
sure.
question for a second? Because there was another element of that you touched on about taking, I guess, plantation land out of production.
Yeah.
And one of the parts of the work that Forestry Co did at the very beginning of this process was secure. It's essentially, I think it's 2 times the land that will be lost to this
But where is
project.
that? That's not in this region. And that, is it in this region?
Gavin, you can probably answer that.
Yeah, it is correct. Cover of it.
Because that's,
That's already been purchased.
It's already been purchased.
Yeah.
We purchased, for your numbers, the cost for 660,
Okay.
1,200. We've cleared that.
and that will be planted in pine?
It's already been started. We kind of defined that, yeah. So we purchased more than is required. So the legislation requires a minimum 2-for-1. We've actually far exceeded the activity down there in around the buck.
And sorry, can I just ask one more question on that then? The construction phase is 4 years.
Probably around that.
The impact on the production and management of forest during that time, because it would be difficult to have both forestry work being undertaken at the same time that the construction, and going back to my earlier question in traffic. So it would severely hinder the access to the current areas if you've got construction of wind towers.
Yeah, managing kind of having the forestry operations and the energy operations excluded in the space and time is our primary goal. And that's both with forestry operations physically on site, so transport of the equipment and stuff. Is it possible? We have to wait and see where Neo and Lands with their transport starts. I think that's going to be a really important thing. It'll be not only traffic movement, but also the roads use as well. And the questions have come separately.
Councillor Wirtz.
Yeah,
Question.
Well, it might be better to ask in regards to.
Gavin, would you like to go up the front and introduce yourself?
Safety in numbers, ladies.
Put you in the
Do you want to introduce yourself?
Sorry, so I'm Gavin Jeffries. I work for Forestry Corporation. I've been with the business now. This is my 38th year. I've worked here in Snowy Valleys, lived at Rosewood, Laurel Hill, worked at Thunder Umbrella through 2 tours of Phillip. I've done all manner of jobs in the softwoods, including fire management.
So my question in regards to the firefighting, I mean, I know you said it was a monoculture, but I mean, as we've seen in the Duns Road fire, there was significant damage to the national parks from a forestry fire. So in terms of the risk or the increased risk and the inability to protect the forestry assets like the pine trees, 164 wind turbines at 300 meters tall, pretty difficult to get a helicopter in and around those turbines safely within fire conditions. How do you mitigate that risk? I know you've put in $13 million in terms of state assets to combat the fire risk for the forestry industry specifically. How do you cross that risk? In my mind, it seems like such a ridiculous idea to put these giant towers in a highly flammable situation. I know you said there's containment around these towers, but they're full of flammable liquid. If the temperatures get too hot, which pine trees generally explode when they get too hot, full of sap and everything like that, very difficult to control. You just have to ask any RFS worker in terms of the containment lines that the fire jumps across. It's very expansive. So just wondering in terms of your fire mitigation risk, in terms of the assets that the forestry hold, how will this affect the firefighting ability in an extreme bushfire situation?
Thank you. A few layers of this. So the planning of fire protection is pretty important. So there's been discussion around how the plantation might be able to be, vegetation in the plantation can be managed, production of zones close to any of the assets. It doesn't matter if it's a BESS or a turbine or a substation. Use of asset protection.
Gavin, could you speak a little louder?
Sorry, James. Yeah, I'm used to yelling. I don't want to hear too loud.
I can hear you, but.
Oh, no, I think they can't hear you at the
I'm
back.
sorry. Yeah, so a lot of work can be done on the asset protection zones. It's up to proponents to fund that work as well. There are a bunch of things that have to be done close to those assets, and that will be determined over time and included in the submission when it goes into planning. The road areas, of course, they will actually improve because the roads that we have to, for forestry and for BWs, for example, they're 62.5 ton machines. They go in, do the logging and pick up the logs and of course move them out. They're the same roads that our firefighters use as well in all the different types of vehicles they go in. An energy company going in needs larger roads or better roads, I guess, for some of your assets. So there'll be an improvement there actually getting to each one of those sites. And from the asset that is the energy company's asset, Emily, you rattled off a few things there too already. Suppression systems, it's all 24 hours a day, 365 activates monitored. And the monitoring centre is here in Australia as well,
In Canberra.
in Canberra. And so, company will see very quickly if there's an issue with the turbine and be able to shut it down remotely.
Yeah.
It can be done from Canberra, but
Yeah.
equally it could be done from the control centre, which will be at Bondo itself. There'll be a bunch of discussions around resourcing as well. So the resourcing will include people from the OM or the contracting OEM like this who would actually be on site through that. And I think there is some info on people, Emily, as well in the slide pack. Those people would be trained as well in firefighting. Come back to your helicopter point. There's a really neat example, which I think is this one here on the screen, a fire at the Waterloo Wind Farm in South Australia. Very, very close work done with the CFS in South Australia and the then owner of the wind farm. They worked out exactly how to get in with aircraft before any fire started. It was part of the fire management plan. So when aircraft were required, the turbines were shut down within a very short period of time. But when the phone call went through from the fellow who was hosting the wind farm, who was also the group captain, I think, of the local area, made two calls, one to the control centre of the energy company, the other one to the fire control centre. The turbines were shut down before the aircraft got there, and the aircraft then flew in between the turbines as they were shut down. Now there's a photo there, but there's also video of that same event. Our experience here too, by the way, is that we see, there was mention about the Billow fire there just a few weeks back or a couple of months ago, January, when it happened. A large air tanker did get deployed, one from Canberra and one came down from Sydney. The turnaround time for each one of those to drop around 10,000 litres is about 90 minutes out of Canberra, and it's probably about 90 minutes to 2 hours out of Sydney. What we do know is that the turbines can be stopped, not necessarily locked, but stopped and placed in an appropriate position with the blades, and the helicopters can come in close to those. Now, if we're using a helicopter with a long line, you might end up with 500, 600 litres of water fluid coming out of the bottom of a long line bucket. But if it's a belly tank, you can get somewhere between 5,000 and 10,000 litres. The rotation locally then means that a much more efficient attack can happen with your aircraft, which would be stationed here at Shingle. Those aircraft can then be used for other fires in the region. So if we get a fire outside of the area here, that's not where Bondo is, that doesn't mean that the aircraft can't deployed somewhere else to fight fires in the community. Forestry Corporation has done that in the past, and we will continue to be here for the community for firefighting. You all know that, you've seen it.
How does that
Councillor
affect,
Sheldon. Oh,
oh, just a follow-up question. How does that affect nighttime firefighting operations in terms of aerial?
It's only just been started to be trialled now with the RFS. The real benefit with the nighttime work is they've got the goggles on, and it stands out clearly where all the structures are in the landscape.
Councillor Sheldon.
Yes, it's probably more directed to Emily or
Come on.
Clement. You actually spoke about, you bought some land in Tumbarumba, correct? And you're revegetating that land in Tumbarumba.
Forestry Corporation's done that, that's correct.
Yeah, that's fine, but isn't it Snowy Valleys or the old Tumut or new Tumut Shire Council that is going to be impacted by these wind farms? So surely that revegetation and any sort of legacy should be looking at coming to the de-amalgamated Tumut Shire or Snowy Valleys Shire.
Depends
Or Ripon.
want more pine trees here.
Yeah, yeah. There's two sides to that argument. Yeah.
Well, we need them.
Yes, I guess-
Emma, yeah.
Okay, you wanna have a crack at that, or you
No,
want me to
no,
go
no,
first?
yeah, go.
65,000.
Yeah, so the important thing here for us as Forestry Corporation under the
Yeah,
legislation.
it wasn't 65,000 hectares.
Yeah, we have to maintain supply of the timber supply agreements in the local wood baskets, I call it. And so the trees physically might not sit in a de-amalgamated council area, but the wood would still come into the customers that belong here. And you know, we move wood between the Bondo area sometimes down to Hine at Tumbarumba and vice versa. And so there's a customer base and a contractor base that will be retained.
So Gavin, how many hectares did you buy?
Oh,
There was,
you'd ask for the
it
tree.
was,
Sorry, I'll give you time.
was
Yeah,
1,200, wasn't it?
Emily, do you want to continue and then you tell me when you?
Whatever the minimum requirement is.
660.
Yeah.
660, then we've acquired at least.
Double.
We've acquired the land, actually exceeded it. So
Yeah.
I just can't tell you off the top of my
That's
head.
right. Sorry about that.
That's why I give you the wrong number.
But yeah, the
Oh,
footprint,
and we've got Councillor Lata trying to ask a question at the back there.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Look, I just wanted to place on record that I don't agree with the assessment of the ability to fight fires in aviation assets as described. The Black Hawk only drops about 4,000 metres.
John, it has to be a question, I'm afraid. It can't be a statement.
What has to be a question?
What you're asking,
Well,
what's your question?
I'll
It
ask
can't
it.
be a
I'll ask it
statement.
I'll ask it when we have the mayoral minute. I'll make a comment.
Yeah, great. Thank you. Appreciate that.
I have a question now.
Yeah, Councillor
Um,
Thompson.
To Gavin and the lovely ladies at the front. I know that there's a lot of people here who have great concerns. They do have the meeting tomorrow night. And I know that they have a lot of questions that have been raised from, is there any opportunity for you to actually meet with them to respond to their concerns and questions face to face? It's incredibly frustrating for them not to be able to ask questions today, but that's how a public forum works. But I think that in good faith, it would be appropriate for somebody to at least meet with them and discuss their concerns and respond to the concerns that they would like to.
yeah, absolutely. We're more than happy to meet and answer any questions that people have. We have an office here where, yeah, Clemence and I have been staffing it the last few days. We take meetings by appointment. We're available on email and telephone. So,
But you won't meet with them as a group?
yeah, we can meet as a group. We've declined to attend tomorrow because we felt like it wasn't the best forum to have a constructive discussion. But we're in the process of organising some smaller group sessions, probably in July. They'll be announced shortly, in a number of different locations. But yeah, small groups. We're happy to meet with people together.
That creates more, anyway.
Okay, I think we better let Emily continue. Oh, Councillor Lata, your question?
Yeah, look, can I just ask this question? I'm aware that in the last week, the Australian Energy Infrastructure Commissioner wrote to the Minister for Energy, Paul Scully, raising his concerns about the infrastructure impacts in regional areas, unprecedented pressure on the community, including roads and infrastructure, damage from heavy vehicles, housing, and all the essential services that go with it, as well as social cohesion and mental health. These seem pretty significant issues that are being raised by the federal appointed Labor Commissioner for Infrastructure in relation to energy.
Thank you, councillor Larter. We'll take that as a statement. We might let Emily
As a
continue.
question.
Is it a question?
What was the question?
Well, the question
course it was
is,
a question.
what's their response to it?
Oh, have you seen Commissioner Ma's report?
I haven't.
The project.
No,
Yeah.
I wasn't aware of that. I mean, I definitely acknowledge that, you know, these projects do have a wide range of impacts on the communities where and environments where they're placed, and we assess everything that we are required to under the environmental impact statement process. I mean, I would also just perhaps add that, you know, the federal government has also been in touch with us. We've had 2 meetings with them in the last 2 months with their energy security team, who are desperate for projects like this to go ahead, quite frankly, because they are.
Well, of course they are.
concerned.
Of course they are, because they love this lefty rubbish. It's madness.
Okay, councillor Arthur. Emily, would you like to go to the next slide? I am aware that we've almost had an hour on this, so
Yeah,
we'll.
maybe
figure
we'll
it.
make this, we can make this the last one. I just wanted
Yes.
to address, we've heard talk of this naturally occurring asbestos in the
Yeah.
last few weeks, and I just thought it would be worthwhile including a slide on it. The scoping report, as many of you will have seen, does include a couple of areas. One in the west of the site, which has a high potential in the geological mapping to contain naturally occurring asbestos, and that affects something around 13 turbines up in that corner. There's also an area with low potential in the east of the site. This is fairly common across New South Wales, but it's absolutely something that needs to be managed extremely carefully if we cannot avoid those specific areas. There's some guidance. I think we included a link to the fact sheet there, Safe Work New South Wales, specifically on this issue and how proponents of infrastructure projects need to manage those risks accordingly. And there are a number of mitigation measures that we will no doubt have to apply. But in the first instance, it will be to try and design around it. But yeah, this is the type of thing that, you know, it does get assessed at a relatively high level during this DA process, but until we know exactly where things are going, because there are micrositing allowances in the environmental impact statement, we can't devise specific mitigation measures for this just yet. I think the last one was just on upcoming sort of engagement.
Maybe the next one.
We're running out of time though. Do you want to?
I think.
Um,
I'm just wondering, to the general manager, how can we get this slide and information out to people? Will we put that up on the website somewhere?
We can, but my understanding is this will be available on the AON sort of website.
So this is all on your website?
No, this isn't on. No, I guess I'd assumed that you would put it on yours, but we can certainly, I'm sure we can put it on our website if it won't go onto council's website. Yeah,
Put it on ours,
I think,
Put as attachment to the meeting.
We can put it as an attachment to the meeting.
Okay.
The minutes.
Okay.
Okay.
I just had
Sounds like a
one
good.
question for you. Thank you for taking, listening to all the questions and responding. Just in terms of wind speed, because I know you said there was 6 to 7 meters per second.
7 to 8.
7 to 8.
Yeah.
Okay. And is that, you said you had testing at the moment. Has that already testing been done? Has there been a scope about all the different wind speeds in terms of?
So
Yeah, because I've had another number of people comment saying that there is a lack of wind up there. And
So there are 5 Met masts up at the moment. 3 of them, we have just got to the 1 full year of wind data, which is the bare minimum we need to assess what the wind looks like over a full year. So at the moment, we've got consultants doing an energy yield assessment to look at what those average wind speeds are across the year. We have an idea obviously now, and there is a reasonable amount of variability across the site. But essentially that energy yield assessment takes the data from those 3 specific points and extrapolates it over the site, taking into account topography and things. And it will then tell us, based on the turbine locations that we've got that are public at the moment, what the energy yield from that project will be. And we've got 2 additional masts, which will achieve a year, like in probably towards the end of the year.
And so just for clarity's sake, how tall are these masts? Is there multiple different turbines that are measuring different wind speeds, different heights?
Yeah, 4 of them are 180 meters tall, and 1 of them is 110. And the 110 is towards the east of the site, and is primarily there for measuring at height activity by bats.
Yeah, okay.
Although there are bat monitoring equipment on other masts as well.
Councillor Works, we might leave it there because a lot of these questions you can go in and ask them you actually.
I'd just like to make a statement. Just 5 masts might not be enough to measure the entire site in terms of the wind speed.
We would have liked 10 or 11, but they're extremely expensive. So it's rarely possible. It's rarely, I guess, yeah, the project will likely develop as stages towards once we get, if we get DA.
Because hindsight's 2020, and you looked at Snowy 2.0.
And the question is, Councillor Works?
I'm just saying they've hit the fault line in Snowy 2.0, and you put
Okay, Councillor Works, we might.
Hours up, and you
We
realise.
might say thank you very much to Emily, Clemence and Gavin. Thank you very much for your time, and we will now start the meeting.
Thank you both, all 3 of you, thanks.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, just for the public forum, what happens now, I have to go through the procedural stuff, and then we'll come to the news. There'll be a little bit of.
You have my question.
Can we do the separate minutes first?
What's the current?
Yes, yeah. Okay, everyone, we'll start with the acknowledgement of country. Oh, no, I won't. Yes, I will. Snowy Valleys Council proudly acknowledges the traditional owners and custodians of this land and water and pay respects to their elders past and present. This meeting is live streamed on Council's website to allow the community to follow Council debates and decisions. Members of the public participating in a meeting agree to have their image, voice and personal information, including name and address, recorded and publicly broadcast. Snowy Valleys Council does not allow any defamatory remarks or inappropriate comments that are made during the course of a meeting. Any part of the meeting that is held in closed session will not be streamed. Councillors are reminded of the oath or affirmation of office they made under Section 233A of the Local Government Act 1993. And the obligation of the council's conduct to disclose and appropriately manage conflict of interest. Please ensure that mobile phones and other electronic devices are turned off or in silent mode for the duration of the meeting, and no recording of voice or images is permitted by mobile phones or other electronic devices. In the event of an emergency, please evacuate the building using the nearest exit and follow the instructions given by the warden. Do not use the lift. If participating from an alternative venue, Councillor Arter, please enact the evacuation plan for that location if required. Now, we do have a leave of absence from Councillor Hugh Packard, which was granted on the 16th of April for this meeting. Pecuniary interests.
Yes.
We have to. Excuse me. And we also have Councillor Larter with a health concern, was unable to come in person to the meeting today. Do I have someone to move that is okay that he attends remotely? Councillor Hardwick, seconded by Councillor Works. All those in favour? Unanimous. Welcome, Councillor Larter. Yes, so we've done Councillor Hugh Packard, that's been passed. Pecuniary interests. I think we had one pecuniary interest from Councillor Sheldon. Councillor Sheldon has a non-significant pecuniary interest in relation to report 10.6, and we'll leave the meeting during the discussion. Okay, so, and we'll not leave the meeting during the discussion. Thank you. Okay, confirmation of the minutes held, ordinary meeting held on the 16th of April 2026. They be received and confirmed as an accurate report. Do I have a mover? Councillor Thompson, second by Councillor Hardwick. Thank you. All those in favour? Unanimous. Thank you. We have no correspondence or petitions. So we'll move on to 7.1, which is the Merrill Minute Bondi Wind Farm proposal, impacts on Snowy Valley's local government area. We have 4 recommendations there at present. Do I have someone I'm moving it, and I don't need a seconder. I'd like to open it up for discussion.
Madam Mayor, can I
Councillor
just,
Thompson.
can I ask, and I get the relevance of specifically the Bondi Wind Farm? The concern that I have is that this, what we're proposing here, also needs to happen for future so-called clean energy, green energy. So it's not, while I see the importance of this being for the Bondi, I also think we need to be doing the same for the other areas within our local government. I'm aware of the lithium battery that's being proposed for Talbingo at the moment, which has that community terribly concerned. And it's just going to be one after the other. And I think that we've all accepted the point that unfortunately our beautiful region is becoming the dumping ground for renewable energy infrastructure, whether that is the generation or the transmission. And I think that, yes, acknowledge the Bondi Wind Farm here, but I'd like to see how do we actually go further and make a stand that enough is enough, as one of the public forum speakers spoke about earlier.
So you thinking another recommendation of putting it into a report, a future report?
Whether or not we deal with this today, but I really think that we need to make a very strong stand going into the future with state and federal, that state significance projects, because they don't even abide by the state plan.
Can we then deal with this today? And then if we hope that we could have
Well, it could be a notice of motion.
a notice of motion in the next meeting, or when it's prepared.
I think you made a
Thank you.
strong statement 3 months ago when you voted the last one down.
It was a different motion. Any other discussion?
Yeah.
Councillor Sheldon?
Yes, look, I agree with what a lot of people are saying, but there's a lot of areas in regional New South Wales, which I highlighted last year after the Canberra meeting through Regions Rising, where there are a lot of mayors that were standing up saying, the government's making all these decisions on state significant developments, and mayors in there and the councils in their areas are suffering, not only with accommodation, but with roads, everything that's been mentioned around the town. That local councils aren't involved in these significant developments. You know, they get one shot at it, and then we'll go and we'll put it off to somewhere else. But there are a lot of councils in New South Wales, regional New South Wales, that are suffering the exact same. And leading on from, or following on from that, the prior director of infrastructure warned us in 2024, I think it was, what was going to happen when these developments progress further. And we're seeing it right now. We are seeing people come out and actually standing up. When we've had fair warning, our community strategic plan says we've got to listen to them and we've got to do something. Well, I think it's about time. It's great we listen to them, but now we start talking to these other councillors around New South Wales and really get them together, because there is strength in numbers, and go to the New South Wales government and really put a case to them that we are being affected. You know, they're talking about visitor economy, as we said, the roads, goes on and on and on. But we're hitting it at one-offs. There's strength in numbers. And if there is a number of councils around New South Wales, we'll really have some strength by presenting a logical case to the state government. And they, oh, geez, state's significant. Well, we are making state significant impacts on regional councils that are not long-term beneficial. This is what we've got to look at.
Yeah, I think that it's into your report. I would like to put a 5th recommendation, which is to ensure what David and Vanessa were talking about, to ensure that this Bondi Wind Farm goes to independent planning committee.
I have a question on that, Madam Mayor. If we support this motion now, is this one council's only by doing so, is this council's only chance to put a submission in? Or if information changes for us over the next few months until November, can you put forward another motion, or can we put forward another motion to advocate for that harder, should I say?
To the general manager, are you able to give councillor Hardwick a surety that if we put this in now, but to send it to the IPC, it's done and dusted?
So yes, the council can put in a request that the development, that the DA is assessed by the Independent Planning Commission, if that's what council wishes. I said, we haven't seen like the DA yet.
Yes, no, I understand that.
But we would make a submission when that information becomes available.
But this is not council's one and only opportunity to put forward something now, is what I'm trying to ask,
No.
that we can make sure that if different information comes to light before November, another motion is passed by this council to absolutely put it through to that department.
Yeah, I'm wondering about the word.
There's just a wording here that-
Ensure
Yeah.
seems a little bit weak, whether we mandate that the Bondo Wind Farm is submitted to the IPC.
I don't know that we can mandate.
Well, you have to put a submission in for the DA.
Yeah, but we haven't
Yes.
seen the development.
Which hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
Well, but
Preempting.
I think that,
We
but
could
that is
put a
the,
motion through
isn't this
so-
the point that the Edwards talked about, is it doesn't matter what's in the DA or whatever, they would like an independent person to look at it. And I'm very happy to support that.
But can we comment until we've actually?
No, there's no comment to be said. It's just to mandate that the Bondi Wind Farm
When?
is submitted to the IPC for assessment.
But when
At time
we
of DA.
receive it? So when we see the DA to put in the
Yes,
submission?
usually it's
there's-
post DA.
Exhibition.
I think
Well,
if we
we
don't
have
put a
to-
timeline on it, councillor Thompson, then
But can't we only do it after we've seen the DA? That's my point, is that once the DA is
so
submitted.
there's no
then we
need to
can-
put a timeline on it. We're just
No.
saying we will do it
Yes,
when the time's right.
yes.
Yep.
But we can't do it now because we haven't.
No,
seen
we
the
can't do
DA.
it now. No. So are we, to mandate?
Just a clarification, Madam Mayor, should it be minuted that the company was quite happy for the submission period to be lengthened? Because they did say that at this meeting, they were quite happy to lengthen the submission period.
We'd have to
Should
put
we-
it in a recommendation. And I mean, it's been said in televised, live stream council. I think that's probably enough evidence needed. And something else I think needs to be input. Sorry, councillor Lada, I can see you up there. I'll just say this first. Should this go ahead, it is very important as a council, with the support of our community, that we are the drivers and we are in control of how this affects our community. We're looking at a project that's going to have 350 workers in our area, and then for 3 years, and then it goes down to 20 workers. We have to make sure that this, if it's coming on, the economic opportunities are afforded to us as positive as we can possibly make them, particularly when we're looking at scenario 2.0 slowing down. Councillor Lata.
Oh, thanks, Madam Mayor. Look, I just want to make a few points. The first one is that we missed an opportunity because of the systems. I don't know why or how it occurred, but at some point it was changed within our policies that not everything comes to council. And I mean the meteorological towers. They were approved by council staff. That never came to the councillors. So that's the first thing. Any of these decisions that are likely to have an ongoing impact to the community should come to the councillors, because that was an opportunity to maybe stop this at the first hurdle by disallowing their wind turbine meteorological towers to go up in the first instance. The second one is, and as Councillor Hayes pointed out, 3 months ago, I put up a motion outlining all the negative effects of these wind turbines, and essentially there was very little support around the table for that to be prosecuted. And now I don't know why we're even in a situation where we're discussing it with these people. I mean, this is an absolute outrage. This whole lefty program is based on lies. It's all about, the world's going to implode because we can't, continue to use coal, It's all nonsense. It's all predicated on Chris Bowen's mad program of net zero. I mean, they are complete lunatics in that whole lefty government, and it's just impacting all the way down to us at the coalface. And we're getting all this BS from all these different people. I mean, it's complete lies. Forestry's up to their neck in this. Here they are telling us, that they can't be without this hangar to put one helicopter in to protect their valuable economic.
Off topic now, councillor Lara.
No, well, it's not off topic. I mean, because at the end of the day, I mean, it just demonstrates just how disingenuous this mob is, and they're the people that have got us into this bloody mess. Forestry. Who do they think they are? I mean, here we are.
Thank you, councillor Lara.
No, I haven't finished. I mean, it's an absolute outrage that these people at Forestry are putting us through this, and here we get this nonsense about, we can use aviation assets to go and fight these 300-metre, 165 towers. I mean, the difference in topography up there is about 600 metres. 600 metres. I mean, what idiot is going to hop in a helicopter and fly a long line without any visibility in a bushfire? I mean, during the 2020 fires, the helicopter pilots were reporting that they were watching branches that were 3 inches thick flying past their rotor blades in these updrafts, storms created by these bushfires. I mean, they've got to be kidding if they think they're just going to casually fly around there and drop a few thousand litres of water. I mean, these Black Hawks carry about 4,000 litres. Where do they get 10,000 from? And the Bell 412s are 900 litres at best. So it's all nonsense, and they just construct everything. They just lie. They just do whatever they can to make it all sound wonderful and everything's good, but it's all nonsense. And what about the vandalism on our?
Okay, councillor Lara, your time is up now. Thank you.
Tourism. This is a tourism town. We are a tourism town.
Madam Mayor, can I?
Councillor Wirtz had his hand up.
I have to agree with a lot of what Councillor Lara is saying in terms of firefighting ability. I just think it's put it in John's word, it's madness. Like, it really is to think that you're going to put 165 wind turbines in a pine forest that's flammable and expect to be able to fight a fire in there. We just had 36% of the pine trees in the local area burn in the last bushfires, and now you spent $13 million of state government money to fight fires, protect the forestry's assets, and they're going to turn around and put these giant towers in there where it's very difficult to get a helicopter in terrible conditions. It's just, it blows the mind, and it really puts the point on to say, why is forestry doing this? Who's putting the pressure on forestry? Because the forestry industry in Tumut is 40% of the economy. And if we lose these trees, we lose our entire economy as it is now. Now, obviously, there's other facets that might have to make up for that if we do lose all these trees. But I think, we as a council need to make a stand. And at the moment, forestry pays 0 rates on this land. And that's because they're providing a community benefit for the economy. Now, they're going to turn around and say, we're going to put up 165 towers. There's 0 community benefit to our community. Why should we allow them to pay 0 rates when there's potentially no community benefit? So they have this exemption from paying rates because they are providing a benefit. I think it's ridiculous that they're allowed to make these decisions without community and council consultation. So,
thank you, Councillor Wirtz.
Can I just seek a clarification? My understanding is that NEON came and presented to council. It wasn't the staff who made that decision unilaterally of what was happening. Can I just seek some clarification about what the process was in relation to setting up the wind speed centres that they've got up there, registering it?
Through you, Madam Mayor. The original Met-Mast proposal was outlined to council in a briefing session. Moving on from that, there was 5 applications that were lodged with Snowy Valleys Council for these met masts, which didn't trigger any requirement for them to be referred to full council for determination. They were considered to be local development. They were notified to surrounding neighbours where those surrounding neighbours could be identified, because a lot of these parcels of land are in forestry and it's quite significant tracts of land around them. And accordingly, they were determined under delegated authority. Now, that doesn't give way for a major project considered at a state level, but it does give way for these masts to be erected for the purpose of gaining data. So it's both wind data and also in relation to local fauna.
Just felt that needed clarification.
Yep.
We weren't completely in the dark as to what was being asked.
So, councillors, we've got 5 recommendations there.
Just a point of clarification, in terms of recommendation number 5, so council can request that the DA be referred to the Independent Planning Commission only if it lodges a objection to the development application. So
Okay, so we haven't seen that.
So we haven't seen it as yet.
If we mandate, so request,
So we don't
are you
have-
saying that word request?
Which goes back to my original question, is by supporting this, does it stop us being able to, in the future, request that it not go ahead and put in a formal submission then?
So good.
I would hate to that in a few months' time. we see the-
No, I think
No,
it's, the word's not right.
So if
Yeah.
council was to lodge a formal submission, I would expect that would come to council first before it's lodged. And then when you see our submission, you can then sort of resolve if you would like to refer it.
We
to
are,
IPC.
but the question is if the council submission needs to be altered in any way between a council meeting, we've only got 28 days. So
Or longer, so council can also request from, like DP, that we have the extension as well.
Do you have a point of clarification, councillor Larder?
Yes, Madam Mayor. I just wanted to reiterate that I was not having a go at any staff in relation to that. I'm just highlighting the
Thank
fact
you, councillor Larder.
that the policy has changed where we're not getting everything to decide on. And the other point of clarification I want to make is that it seems absolutely disingenuous and outrageous to me that as an elected councillor, I get cut off after 5 minutes of talking about the impacts of this to my community.
Councillor Larder, you were
But-
given plenty of
No,
warning.
no,
Thank you very much.
but
You'll just be
Neon,
cut off again.
Neon can talk for 20 minutes. It's a paid advertisement, no problem at all.
We voted for that to happen.
Whatever.
Okay, thank you, councillor. So we have the 5 recommendations there. Councillor Hayes, are you speaking?
I would like to, yes, please. It's been mentioned about state significant developments, and we've had a few of them over the time. And I lived through Visy when they came, and you know, they've been pretty good for the community. They're not been so good for me, but and my family. But when they came, their wind study was taken from Albury and turned 90 degrees, and just had nothing to do with what happened there. So at least
investigate.
Here we've got something that that is a little bit better. So it's in 25 years we've moved forward slowly, but we've also got state significance in Snowy 2.0, where the Snowy Valleys generates 99% of Snowy Hydro's current electricity, and we'll be generating all of Snowy 2.0s. And what do we get for that? We get a few grants here and there. We really need the government to step up, and those sort of projects, they need to be paying royalties. They need to be paying a certain amount for every megawatt they produce. And it's the same with this company. If we can't stop them, or they're coming regardless, we need to make sure that the community gets something out of it. We've got Transgrid tearing the place apart. You know, the traffic is a nightmare. They're making, you know, they're just putting a blot on the landscape with all their towers. It should have gone underground. There's no doubt about that. Once again, something that was imposed on us and we had very little to do. We've got a tip out the road. The planning panel decided that was a good thing for us. It's just got a $500,000 fine because they polluted the whole community. This is what happens when things don't come to council. Council doesn't have a fair go at sorting out the things, because we know, we live here, we know. We're not some planning panel from North Sydney or wherever they come from. I don't know, but we really need part of it. These guys have got a really hard sell to try and get this up and going. You know, I don't like their chances, but they really need to include the community all the way. And I think the other thing is, as far as what we need to be doing, we need to be talking to progressive councils like Hayshire Council. We need to be working with the Canberra Regional Joint Organisation, working together with the councils that are affected. That's it. That's the way we need to do. We need to be working with our local members, and we need to be communicating with our communities.
Madam Mayor.
Can I just, I'm just going to look at point 4, five.
It needs, should council
Yeah,
oppose the Bondo Wind farm
We've got,
project? Council mandate that it goes to independent.
You could say
We've got-
mandate that.
sorry, guys, we've got the word, some wordings here.
Mandate
I
that
might-
the
it's getting a bit-
council.
Investigate, consider if,
Insist that this.
I was gonna say the council,
It needs.
Insist the
should
council objects.
Council oppose,
No, just insist that.
should council
council-
lodge an objection,
yes.
Yeah.
okay,
because that's the trigger. So council has to lodge an
when
objection.
the trigger is the DA coming,
Yes.
Objection.
so
Then there's a consultation
in the
and then we provide a
Provide a
submission
submission.
or we can object as well.
investigate if SVC should mandate that the Bondo Wind Farm project is submitted to IPC.
Madam Mayor, this shouldn't be going anywhere. This should be put to a referendum to the community. I mean, they should be asked. This is Mrs.
Councillor
Mann-
Lada, when you've had your,
Well, I'll
Well,
move an
this-
amendment.
if
I'll
there's
move
a-
an amendment that this be put to a.
Councillor Lada, we're
referendum.
just getting some wordings here, Councillor Lada.
I want to
not got
move an
the floor.
amendment, Madam
Just
Mayor.
No,
Councillor
Just-
Lada, we're working out some wording here.
we could say the council considers that the Bondo Wind Farm be submitted to the IPC for consideration should a objection be lodged.
That's too wishy-washy, woozle words.
Yeah, I
Just
think-
I just
say
think, should
insist
council
that.
oppose the development application?
Madam
Insist
Mayor,
that
I want to
SVC
move an amendment.
Just right.
Councillor Lada, you do not have the floor at the moment. We're trying to work out some wording for, might be hard for you to see, but we're working on the amendment
I
That
want
I'm
to move
putting
an
in.
amendment.
on number
want to
5.
move
Yes, but
an
I'm working
amendment.
on my amendment at the moment. Thanks, Councillor Lada. Investigate if Snowy Valley's Council investigate if Snowy Valley Council is investigate somewhere the Bondo Wind Farm,
I think investigates the right term.
the wrong
I
word.
don't- It is, it's just, should council oppose the DA when presented? We then proceed.
Okay. Can you,
Can we provide a submission regardless if there's an
No, not
objection or
until-
not?
no, let's, I just want it in writing and then the people behind us realise that we are actually going. Okay. Would you read those?
So you-
words
So
out?
should council oppose the Bondo Wind Farm development application? Then Snowy Valleys Council proceed to lodge the request for an independent plan commission.
But I think that
got
if
an
we
idea.
say that, even if we don't oppose it, I want it to go to the IPC whether we oppose it or not.
No, we can't. So there's certain requirements that trigger it being referred. One is that the local council makes an
Okay, to make this
objection,
in-
and the other is that it has over, like 50 independent, like submissions and things like
Okay,
that.
should
And
council oppose the Bondo Wind
Third
Farm
one's around-
project? Okay, now we've got to take a lot of that out.
To be democratic.
Yeah.
Poor Kristen.
Comma, should oppose the
Development application.
wind farm development application.
yes, I take that.
Development application.
DA, yep, development,
That the matter be referred to the IPC,
Yes.
that the matter be referred.
the Independent Planning Commission.
And then they have to hold public forums.
Thank you, Kristen. Okay. Now, councillor Larder, you asked for an amendment?
Yes, I'd move an amendment that
It's my piece.
we write to the New South Wales Premier and the head of forestry, advising them that it's Snowy Valley's council's intention to seek a referendum from the community in relation to this project for it to move forward.
Okay,
Who pays for that?
so we have the amendment on the table. Do we need a seconder?
Yes.
Well, it's your
Yes,
mail,
it's my mirror minute.
so you would have to accept it.
And I won't accept that. And sorry, councillor Larder, the main reason is referendum. We're still getting over the 250,000 that we spent in November. I just can't do that to council. But I do take your point. Thank you.
Well, clearly you don't.
Okay, councillors. Okay, councillors, we have 5 recommendations there. All those in favour? Everyone bar councillor Larder. To the public forum, thank you very much for your time. I can go for the whole.
They can stick around if you like, yeah.
There's no need to
Oh.
miss it.
But thank you for your patience.
Watch the babies throw the toys out of the cots.
And I just, the public forum is leaving now, but there is a meeting tomorrow night from 2 to 6 at the Montreal Theatre about this topic for people who are interested. Okay, 7.2, another mayoral minute. There's 3 recommendations there, but this, councillors, the recommendations are really about a concern that we're going to have a boom and bust in this community. We're quite buoyed at the moment economically by the transmission lines coming through and Snowy 2.0. And let's face it, all this, well, a lot of this renewable is coming from Snowy 2.0. So this is to have a delegation with the local Chamber of Commerce and also the Business New South Wales to Dennis Barnes, the CEO of Snowy Hydro, and Scott McKillop to discuss post-construction economic transition and local procurement opportunities so that the whole of Snowy Valleys are ready for the fall in economic opportunities.
Madam Mayor, I just have 2 questions.
Sure.
Same as the last one. Why is it only in relation? Because the same impacts will be had when Humelink East and West go. So instead of just looking at a specific of one project, we need to ensure that every time we have a major project coming in, that we have something in place that we actually are planning for this. And the other, I'm just wondering how this mayoral minute came about, because it's quite specific in the 2 presidents of the chambers. But it concerns me that instead of just looking at in isolation the projects, that we really need to be approaching all of the major stakeholders.
So some background, and that's very fair enough, is we, the presidents and Serena Hardwick from Business New South Wales were all met together to talk about this concern, and this is one way we thought we could actually address it. And to your first point, Snowy, a lot of the infrastructure being built is because of Snowy 2.0, and you mentioned Transgrid and things like that. How many of these projects, even the batteries, even the wind towers, are all because of the lines coming through Snowy 2.0? So we thought this was a good starting point, but your point can be brought into that report that come to council.
Transgrid and Humelink don't link themselves to Snowy Hydro. They see themselves as independent businesses from.
Oh, certainly, but the electricity from Snowy 2.0 has to be transmitted out. Yeah.
Yeah, anyway.
So take your point. Yes, councillor Sheldon.
From what I understood from Humelink East, Humelink West, Transgrid, or whatever we want to call them, this is only stage 1 We've got more lines to go up. So I do think if you're going to go one, you may as well go all, to be quite honest with you. But the longevity of this exercise, you know, from what we've seen, Snowy 2.0 was still started off at $2 million. $2
2 billion,
$2 billion. Now where are we?
42 billion.
Yeah.
Now, 42 billion does
Yeah, that's
and
including.
council, that includes all the.
So how long are all these jobs going to go, or the longevity of this work going to go for?
Yes.
And then with the extra, from what I understand, there's 3 extra lines that they're looking at putting up.
So,
Anyway,
so for this reason, we just want to get, and look, it's a start. And maybe you're right, we should go to Transgrid and ask the same questions, but let's have a start here with Snowy 2.0. Okay. I've got the 3 recommendations, all in favour? Councillor Inglis,
No, I'm
Councillor
opposed. I think
Lata
it's too
are
small.
opposed, yes. Thank you. Okay, councillors, we are now at 10.1, page 19. The councillor resolutions action report. One recommendation there. Do I have a mover? Councillor Thompson, seconded by Councillor Sheldon. Councillor Thompson.
Madam Mayor, thank you. On page 21, just down at 8.3, which is the notice of motion lobbying for road safety. And I note that further on in the report from HumeLink Interface Officer, there's the talk about they were going to have a road safety day and whatever. I just wanted to say we had a local traffic forum last week, and what concerns me greatly is that state significant projects do not have to abide by the other state legislation and rules. So when it comes to roads, they can have their 50 metres of 80 on the Go Cup Road in between 100. And whereas if council were applying for that, you would have to have a minimum lead in and a minimum lead out and a minimum length of road that was that. And the same with between Tumut and Tumbarumba and Tumut and Batlow, where you have the change of speed zones. They are not supposed to, in normal states, they're not possible when you're talking about if the roadworks aren't being undertaken or if there aren't workmen in sight. So these projects don't have to abide by the same rules and regulations because they are approved by Department of, I think, Primary Industry or Planning, because they're considered state significant, so they get special treatment. So when you talk about road safety, and you talk about HumeLink, and you talk about Transgrid, and you talk about the Bondo wind farm, we have very little control in the conditions that we put on them. It's the same as all the signage. They've got.
I'm at a loss where you are in the
Page
solution
21.
reports.
Page 21, 8.3, it talks about
Lobbying for road safety. Okay, cool.
And it concerns me greatly that we can lobby for it, but we have absolutely no
No power.
control over it within local government or even at a state level, because they can just gazump and do whatever they want. And that concerns me greatly.
Councillor Sheldon.
Mine is my favourite 10.9. The Adelong Showground. Can we get a report or something of where we're up to? Because now that's 16 months down the track.
To the Director of Infrastructure. No, no. To the General Manager.
Yeah, so as councillors are aware, so the committee
point
used
to
to be a 355, but they weren't incorporated. So we just need to enter into an agreement, but they haven't come back to us. Apparently they've got some concerns with the agreement. So we're just waiting to hear back on when they can meet, what their concerns are. The council has been sort of reaching out to them, but we haven't heard back.
Can we get a rig along with it, being 16 months down the track?
A reminder?
You want to ring
A
them up?
reminder?
You want to ring them up and find out what's.
Give me the number, I'll find out what the problem is.
Do that.
Or give it to the correct personnel.
No, I think.
Sounds
I think
good.
I think it'd be very good coming from another councillor to show that.
Yep.
You.
Yeah, I
Thank
don't,
you,
because I bring it
Councillor
up every month.
Thank you, Councillor Sheldon. Any other comments, discussion about any resolutions? All those in favour? Everyone bar Councillor Lata. Oh, no, you're in. Are you in or out?
Yeah.
He's in.
He's in. Thanks, councillor Lada. Unanimous. Okay, now 10.2, de-amalgamation project report, moved by councillor Sheldon, seconded by councillor Hardwick. Councillor Sheldon.
Look, first of all, I would like to call on the transition officer, Nicole, to speak to her report so everyone understands it before I give my little bit about finances.
Thank you, councillor, through you, Madam Mayor. I'll take the report as read, but given the significance of the project and the fact that there are a number of subjects in the report, I will take the opportunity to talk briefly to the key items and also to share some very recent community feedback. With regards to the timeline, first of all, for clarity, the target proclamation date of 1st of July 28. That would mean the new councils would take effect from that date. In the timeline, we have included an IPART application process. ILG have notified us that they are still seeking alternative pathways to consider setting rates, including any SRV. And until we get further notice, we just have to assume a standard IPART process. So that has been incorporated into the timeline, but is subject to change. So I wanted to highlight that. With regards to integrated planning and reporting, I acknowledge the community consultation on your draft IPR documents has closed. My recommendation is that this project is reflected in an updated DPOP prior to its adoption at your next month's meeting. I also note that the long-term financial plan will require re-exhibition with the multiple scenarios, including the continuation of SCC or the 2 councils which fall within your 10-year long-term financial plan window. So re-exhibition would be required. With regards to the grant application, the ILG have been clear and consistent in their advice in that we should not assume a grant application to be successful, and we should do all of our modelling on the basis of receiving a grant, but also not receiving a grant. This council has been absolutely consistent in that approach. I note your referendum materials included those scenarios and would be required to be reflected in your IPNR long-term financial plan scenarios. For clarity, no formal grant application has been lodged, and in the timeline, we are aiming to lodge that application in July of this year. With regards to the updating of the financial sustainability plan, I confirm that we've received a quote and confirmation that our preferred supplier would undertake that work within the required timeframe. With regards to the potential retention of the Snowy Valleys Council brand, the proposed reapplication of the brand should not be confused with the retention of Snowy Valleys Council. Proclamation will essentially establish 2 new councils, but the brand could be applied to one of those. And this would constitute a very important first community consultation that I've recommended in the report. With regards to the steering committee, I acknowledge the diverse views and the complexities surrounding the establishment of a steering committee. The report proposes a Section 355 committee with a combination of 4 councillors, executive staff, and community members representing both the North and the South, with defined delegations. As noted in the report, the proposed composition was made considering references to both the de-amalgamation implementation plan, but importantly, the Boundaries Commission report and the Commissioner's strong recommendations. Since publishing that report, I have received formal feedback from the Tumbarumba de-amalgamation implementation group. And while they welcome community participation, they have shared some significant concerns regarding the proposed composition, being largely the perceived imbalance of representation of the North and the South, the size, and the decision-making process. I commend the group for providing constructive feedback, but also bringing forward suggested solutions for consideration. Specifically, the feedback request considering reducing the size of the committee, with potential options to achieve this being to reduce the number of councillors participating in the committee, or reducing the number of representatives from the Chinman area if they felt they were already well represented by the councillors, or removing the voting rights of the executive. To further address perceived voting imbalance, the group requests consideration that the steering committee aim for all decisions to be by consensus. If 3 or more voting members dissent with the majority view, then they may request referral of the issue to an arbitrated process with an independent review. I have had opportunity to consider this feedback and considering the acknowledgement of the purpose of the committee, which is to oversee the establishment of 2 financially sustainable councils through the execution of the previously adopted de-amalgamation implementation plan with the key methodologies. I would, however, recommend to council consider some very minor amendments to the draft terms of reference that I have included in my report. And they are that the executive members be assigned as non-voting members to the steering committee. This would reduce the number of voting members from 18 to 15, and I have consulted the general manager with regards to that recommendation. A second amended change, that where a majority vote cannot be achieved, that the matter be referred to the full council meeting, including matters within the delegation of the steering committee. And lastly, that the mayor be identified as the official spokesperson to the committee. So they're proposed amendments to the draft terms of reference for your consideration. I would like to highlight in the draft terms of reference, there are recommended limitations of delegation, and these are in consideration of the Local Government Act. These minor proposed amendments do fall short of addressing fully the concerns raised from the Tumbarumba Group, but I believe are a balanced response aimed to maintain councillor accountability and equally meaningful community involvement. With regards to the communication and engagement strategy, it is very clear that community is disappointed with the level of communication on the project to date, and pending the resolutions of council this afternoon, the community should expect to see more regular and direct communications on the project. So thank you, councillors, to the staff and community whose input in a relatively short period of time have enabled us to table this report today, and I welcome your questions and debate.
Madam Mayor, can I move that we go to committee so that we can actually have a discussion?
Councillor Thompson, do I have a seconder? Councillor Inglis? All in favour?
Speak to it, considering my vote.
All in favour to go into
Yeah,
committee?
going into committee.
Councillor Hayes? Unanimous. Okay, councillors. Councillor Inglis?
Madam Mayor, I've listened carefully
Sure.
to what's just been said. Given the Minister's statement that we bear high responsibility for the outcome of this process, I need to see all this in writing.
There was a lot.
There was a lot to digest, and
Yeah.
I'd move it be deferred.
Exactly, my thoughts exactly.
So,
Can I?
so it's in the
That's-
report and it's also in the attachments. So the terms of reference and everything's,
No, it's not, and I prefer to see it in a report in detail.
Could I just ask the CTO, is there a problem if we defer it? Like, are there timelines that you're trying to work on
yeah.
at the moment?
No,
Yep.
thank you, Madam Mayor. Certainly, any deferral would alter the timelines that we specified. Perhaps if I can, for the councillors, the summary I've just provided is just touching on every heading in the report and highlighting for clarity, equally for the community that may be watching and may not have had the opportunity to read the report, key elements from each of those items. So for example, the timeline is the first item in the report. There's a table indicating the critical path and milestones. That includes seeking financial investment to update the financial sustainability plan that is required to enable us to make an application for a grant, targeting a grant application in July. The critical path to achieve proclamation of 1 July 28 would require proposal by December 27, and lead time for any significant system implementations is 18 months to 2 years. So any delays would have an impact on the timeline.
Now,
Councillor Sheldon.
look, I thank Nicole for the report. The budgets, from all the figures that we've received, it does concern me, considering that we've got $30,000 for a consultant. We've got the CTO. There is no financial path in our budget at present for the amalgamation whatsoever. So before we approve the 26-27 budget, should not those costs be included in that report before councillors approve the budget? The other thing is
Can we just answer as we go along?
So in order for the updated financials to be included in the budget, that's what point 4 is recommending. So we're saying that we would need to engage a consultant to get the up-to-date figures, which would then be put in the updated long-term financial plans. Plus, we also need to get a costing of how much the deamalgamation is going to cost as well. So we need those two things before we put it in the updated long-term financial.
That's right, but what about next year's budget? Because doesn't next year's budget have a timeline that it has to be approved by to be lodged with the government?
So what we're asking is coming out of council's existing adopted budget, and we need the figures updated in order to put in next year's budget, yes.
I just worry about it because our updated budget or the draft budget's putting us at a deficit. That's why I asked the question. The other thing is, and that might be able to be referred to, is Nicole raised the point about SVC, the branding, by one or by both, because surely it would be an ideal thing to share that if we've been spending years marketing the area as SV or Snowy Valleys, surely that would be a better way to continue instead of creating 2 new brands. Is that
There'd be one new brand.
one new brand?
For one of the two, yeah.
Upper
And one
Snowy Valley,
existing brand.
Lower Snowy Valley.
Yeah. But then the other thing is, and this is where I think everyone, and it's been raised several times, and Nicole has highlighted in her report, all this work we're doing, and we've really got to think seriously about it, does not guarantee the deamalgamation will go ahead. We've got a lot of costings out there where you look at the QBR3, that's not painting a rosy picture. You look at the draft budget for next year, that's not painting a rosy picture. We have the deamalgamation costs at, I think, roughly 4.8, and we'll say $5 million, then plus the others. We know some councillors won't go for an SRV. We know we've got other costs of other products coming on. So my question is, and it really concerns me, where is the funds coming from to follow all these through, to actually push this and please the public?
Through you, Madam Mayor, so council has known from the beginning that we will be applying for a grant. What that amount is, we've also known that we need to go through and provide like a detailed costing, and we will say we will know that by July of how much the deamalgamation. Council has also known if we don't get a grant, as we have said in the referendum material that was sent to every household in the LGA, it will be a loan to pay for the deamalgamation.
Our policies, that will have to be an internal loan, because our policies or a council's resolution says we should not borrow outside on issues that were not income returning. So it means it's got to be an internal loan.
Correct.
So where does that come from? And if it is an internal loan, the bottom line is we're robbing Peter to pay Paul.
That's how
Some
council
community-
works.
And that's what the referendum was about. Councillor Inglis.
Isn't there a more fundamental problem, Madam Mayor, that at the last meeting, we voted that not to expend any more funds on the.
That wasn't the last meeting. When was it?
November.
November. No, November.
Yeah.
Yeah. The three months.
But continue. Oh, November was.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, the timing is incorrect.
Oh, it's December.
But the principle is the same.
Page 27.
Yeah.
Other than engaging Nicole, what is proposed to spend $30,000 updating council's de-amalgamation financial sustainability plan, which flies in the face of that resolution, and it has not been amended or rescinded.
Correct, and this is a new resolution. In order to progress the de-amalgamation, we need to spend $30,000 to update the figures in order to apply for a grant.
But that flies in the face of the
You can
previous
have another
resolution.
resolution, councillor Inglis.
All right, I'm just expressing my opinion.
No, and I think it's a good question. Yep. Councillor Thompson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just in relation to the documents and thank you, pretty comprehensive of one, what you've presented, and two, what you've spoken to. I'd like to suggest that we remove the reference to Tumut and Tumbarumba and to refer to the southern and northern areas, and we can have in a bracket that says the southern end is the former Tumbarumba Shire Council local government area, and that the northern end is the former Tumut Shire Council local government area. The reason I say that is that we need to remove the idea that it's only Tumbarumba and Tumut specific. We have a lot of areas within the former Tumbarumba. We've got Cancoban, Tumut, Jingellic, Rosewood, all of those areas. And within this area, we have Batlow, Adlong, Brungle, Talbingo, and Tumut,
Grahamstown.
and Grahamstown. So I think we need to stop the mentality of the Tumut Tumbarumba thing, so that we refer to the areas and what we're going to be moving to.
So that point's just taken.
Yeah, thank you. The other area of concern that I have is on page 4 of 10.2. When we talk about assessment and shortlisting, because the minister made it clear that it really needs to be, and I'm referring to 4.4, the minister made it clear it needs to be predominantly a democratically driven process. And the fact that the members of the advisory committee or the steering committee are not staff being employed, I think that the assessment criteria, the applications should be assessed by, yes, an assessment of staff panel, including the mayor and the deputy mayor, so that there is that democratic inclusion, because I think that's important within the steering panel.
I can clarify. Yep. So in terms of that expressions of interest process, we are running that like we would with any other sort of expressions of interest process. So staff would put the applicants together based on the criteria, but that would then come to full council to make that decision.
Okay. So you're not choosing you're just preparing the document.
Yes.
Thank you. In point number 6, governance and conduct, I think instead of saying all community members must adhere to the agreed conduct as outlined, I think it's just all members, all committee members. So that is inclusive of whether it's community members or staff members. Sorry.
We have a code of conduct.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. Follow
I know,
the code
but
of
it's,
conduct.
and it is mentioned within there, but instead of just identifying your community members, I think it's just members of the committee. Don't need it. So the risk and issue management.
Sorry, which page are you on?
Sorry, page 7 and point 5, identify, assess and manage project risks and approve mitigation. Do we need to say that's specifically related to the de-amalgamation project, or is that a given, considering that that's what the...
Sorry, I can't find.
Yeah, we're a bit lost.
Page 7 of 10.2, the attachment, where we're talking about the de-amalgamation steering committee in terms of reference.
Yeah.
Page 7.
So point 5.
No, I've got point 3.
Page 7.3.
Oh, well, go to point 5, just keep scrolling down maybe.
Okay.
Mine is attachment 2. Is it specifically related just to
Is it
the amalgamation project?
Amending the term of reference?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes,
Don't worry.
Yeah. So I'm taking that it's specifically just to the project, it's not with anything else.
Yes.
On page 8, again, as the terms of reference, the meetings. I know that we've put in, will commence from 5:30. I think that once the committee is actually, I think that should be to be determined by committee members. So instead of being specific to a time, especially seeing as there's the possibility of it being attended remotely. So these committee meetings can be attended via Zoom. I think that the committee should actually set the
Parameters.
parameters on that
Yeah,
one.
and what works with the committee.
Yeah. And the membership, this is where it gets a little bit, I suppose, controversial. With all due respect, I think the 9 elected representatives that sit around this council table were elected democratically, and every member and resident of the Snowy Valleys had the opportunity to nominate, including other residents and members of the former Tumbarumba Council area or the southern end. And so I think to start looking at the representation around the table as not being inclusive of the entire Snowy Valleys is a little bit disrespectful to those of us who are here. And I think that the 3 representatives from the southern end and the northern end are not specific to either town. It's not 3 people from Tumbarumba and 3 people from Tumut. There may be people from Adlong, Batlow, Brunswick, Talbingo who would like to be representative. And there may be people who aren't prepared to put the full time in for a council meeting, but have the skills and knowledge that they're prepared to contribute to a steering or an advisory committee. So I don't believe that we should water down representation from the northern end based on that, because as councillors, everybody had the opportunity to nominate and run for council. Those of us around the table represent the whole of Snowy Valleys. And I think the representation from southern and northern end is important, but it doesn't mean it'll come from the exact demographic pool.
I'd agree with
Here.
Thompson there, because after all, they're 27% of the population, you know.
Yeah.
They want, that's it.
I actually think that as councillors, we are councillors for Snowy Valleys.
Yes,
That's right.
And that's what we all took an oath on.
But I mean, the 3 people elected from Tumbarumba, they
Thank you.
represent 27%. The other 73% is it pro rata? No, it's not.
No.
It's not fair.
So
So,
I just.
Councillor Thompson, I know Councillor
I
Inglis
just want to
wants to
finish.
say
I've got-
something.
Yep, I've
I'm
got-
sorry, councillor Tom.
Sorry, I've just got.
I apologise as well.
No, that's okay. Thank you for supporting my comment. The other one is that in relation to the communications, the deamalgamation project communication, I think it would be beneficial for members of that steering committee to actually have a Snowy Valleys Council email address. And that way the correspondence and communication is something that goes through our server and is registered so that the information is, and I don't know what the legality of that is, but that's just a suggestion.
It's a very
so
good
that we
suggestion.
can follow the communication and media trails. Thank you.
Same thing
Yeah,
happened during the amalgamation.
Did it?
the,
Okay.
what do you call it?
LRC.
Administration.
Yeah.
Councillor Inglis, thanks for your patience.
Thank you.
Just a point of clarification.
Uh-huh.
Follows on from what councillor Thompson said. Nicole indicated in giving us the overview that there would, correct me if I'm wrong, Nicole, there'd be 4 councillors on the steering committee.
No, 9 or 9. Yeah,
All be on the steering committee.
absolutely.
Well, I think that's important, given the level of responsibility that's been attached.
And what the minister wanted.
Through you, Madam Chair, for absolute clarity, the proposed amended recommendation regarding the composition would be all councillors, 3 community representatives from the north and 3 community representatives from the south, the executive to attend, but as non-voting, similar to myself as non-voting.
Thank you.
So voting is 15.
So a quorum would be 8.
Should we move out? of
And who
committee?
decides the community representatives? Sorry.
Let the
Through the mayor, the proposal is to have an application process, an EOI, with those criteria which have been included in the selection
Yeah.
protocols, a written application initially to be reviewed by staff.
Staff.
The shortlist would be, and recommendations would come to council, but under confidential cover, you would have visibility of all applications.
Any other discussion, or we will move out of committee?
Yeah, I had a question regarding the $30,000. Where's it come from? I couldn't find it.
Yeah, it's item 4 on the front page recommendation.
Yeah. Is that for a update on the financial feasibility
Sorry,
study?
where's it come from?
Page 4, first page of the report.
Yep.
Recommendation.
Are you asking
councillor
where the
Hayes
money
is
is
asking
coming
where
from?
it's, which area it's coming from.
Where's it coming from?
Oh, sorry.
Paying
Sorry, where the budget's coming from?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the 30,000.
Shouldn't it include that?
Consultants got a budget in the general manager's office.
Right. Consultants. Not anything else, so another word.
Councillor Thompson and Councillor Inglis, are you happy to go out of committee?
Yes.
All those in favour? Oh, no, Councillor Inglis, did you?
Oh, I don't know whether it's appropriate to say it now or.
No, go
we
for
take
it.
the vote, but as we're voting for, in fact, a job lot, all the points, I want to indicate that I'll be voting against it, only because I'm concerned about proposal 4 and how that fits with our earlier resolution.
Oh, with the money.
Yeah.
Yep, thank you, Councillor Inglis.
Just a question.
Councillor
about
Wirtz.
The grant application of up to $5 million.
Yep.
When you're writing a grant application, do you use the term up to $5 million when you're requesting that amount of money, or do you have a specific idea of how much you're going to be requesting?
Through the mayor, the legislation stipulates a grant application up to $5 million. However, when we make our application, once we've determined what that grant application will be, it will be for a specified amount. The OLG suggestion is to aim below that amount, and certainly looking at our estimated cost of deamalgamation, finding efficiencies wherever possible. They've also made it clear that they expect us to explore internal loans and reserves in the first instance, and need to demonstrate that through the updated financial sustainability plan and your long-term financial plan modelling.
Which is the letter that the minister
The
wrote
minister
to us.
made that
this-
clear in a
very
recent
clear.
correspondence from.
Yeah, correct. Okay, Councillor Thompson, Councillor Inglis, happy to go out of committee?
Yes.
All those in favour? Unanimous? I think, yep, good on you, Councillor Lada, thank you. Okay, we're back into debate. Any discussions? Okay, are we happy to move all those recommendations with the changes to the
Don't I have to
terms?
close?
You can?
Can I speak first before we close?
You certainly can, yes, back into debate.
Look, I share Councillor Inglis's concerns about the 30,000 and the fact that we could keep bleeding money, and I hope that doesn't happen. But I suppose 30,000 is pretty cheap, because we were elected to demerge, most of us, or the majority of us sitting around the table. So as long as it does, we just don't get given more amounts and more amounts. Let's see how we go, but it's a good start.
Thank you. Councillor Wirtz?
I'm just curious about who does the engagement of the suitable qualified consultant. Is that the council staff?
To the general manager, she has a plan.
Yeah, so we would engage, like go out for requests for quotation, and we would engage a suitable consultant, and preferably one that knows our sort of financial structure as well.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't we
Councillor
just go back to Mr. Teggett and ask him to update his figures?
Yes, well, that's an option.
He's done all that work.
Yeah.
All he's got to do is bring them
But
up to date.
is it council procedure that we have to go out?
Yes.
Yes, usually
yeah.
it's procurement that
Yeah,
we have to go
that would
out
make sense.
and get quotes with that threshold, but the likely outcome is.
They
that
could,
would be it.
it could come up to $30,000, those quotes.
Up to.
Well, that's exactly what will happen.
Councillor Sheldon, would you like to close the?
Oh, yes.
We don't say the budget when we go.
Madam Mayor.
I do have,
Oh, sorry, councillor Larder.
I was only
Who
going to
wants
make
to
a
get you?
point, Madam Mayor, that if council's of a mind, I would certainly prefer that recommendation 4 be dealt with separately. Otherwise, I'll be voting against the entire suite of them because I believe number 4 is actually an illegal motion because of the previous, unless the previous one's rescinded.
So councillor Larder, we can vote separately. We can do all bar 4 and vote again. Take them separately if you like. Are you happy with that?
Can't we, instead of, just as an idea for an amendment in terms of that $30,000 figure in reflection to the previous motion that we moved, wouldn't we get the quotes to come to council as a like kind of like a tender process so we can actually look at them ourselves, or does that have to be done by council staff?
It's the time.
It's become, is it worthwhile sort of explain to the councillors why we need recommendation 4 to proceed? So I'm not sure if that's
Certainly
quite clear.
through you, Madam Mayor. Because of the previous resolution, which is very clear that no further investment pertaining to deamalgamation is made. Rescission motion is not required, but an alternative new motion is, which is why we have that recommendation. We have sought a quote, and to obtain a quote, we needed to draft a scope of work to ascertain what would be that investment we'd be seeking approval to spend. That financial sustainability plan is a requirement to be lodged as part of a grant application. So a little bit of horse before the cart. We cannot make a grant application unless we have an updated financial sustainability plan.
So you're hoping to make the grant application before you can receive a quote in July?
In July, which is hence the tight time frame to have the updated financial sustainability plan in June, which we've confirmed, and availability to do that.
And if this falls through the $30,000, I mean, are you going to have to come back to the next?
What do you mean by falls through?
Well, I mean, if this is the motion, what some of the people have
If number 4 doesn't get out,
voted.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
We can't submit the grant application.
they can't put in the application.
Madam
Yeah,
Mayor.
but it'd be as a council, shouldn't we be saying the quotation of that pricing?
Under the tender threshold.
Yeah, so it's under the
Okay.
tender threshold, but we have gone out and got quotes. We're asking council to endorse up to 30,000, so it doesn't exceed that. So we can't go out and get it like for 50,000. So
So
council's
where's the
endorsing
quotes?
that.
I can't see the quote.
Yeah, so it's a quote, so it doesn't come to council, only tenders come to council.
Yeah, and as councillor Inglis has pointed out, there probably is an economical way of doing it.
Yeah.
Using past information. Councillor Thompson.
Can I just clarify, it's not an illegal motion, point 4, because any motion has a lifespan of the 3 months. So once that 3-month period is passed, you can actually move a motion that is contrary to that original resolution. And the fact that this is actually identifying not spending new money, but reallocating money from within council to undertake a process that's required for us to be able to do anything else is an appropriate motion. So it's not illegal. A motion stands, or a resolution, not a motion, a resolution stands for 3 months. And unless you have a new motion that is resolved by the council, which what this is.
Councillor Hardwick.
And can I just make comment on the last one, which was to investigate the full financial impact of the de-amalgamation of Snowy Valleys Council. This was the last motion there in December, which then to not exceed any more financial funding, not without the funding guarantee. But the first half of that is to investigate the full financial impact, which this now motion is what we're following through to do as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's
Because we don't have the staff resources to do it.
correct. Yeah.
Yes.
Now,
Councillor Sheldon, would you like to speak?
I would like to seek clarification first before I close debate. We are going to be altering the budget quite substantially. We are going to be altering the long-term financial plan substantially.
Yep.
Does that have to come to council to be approved and then go out for another 28 days for public exhibition?
Through you, Madam Mayor, correct. So as I've noted, your current draft long-term financial plan and your operational budget precludes the de-amalgamation project. There is reference to the fact that the project is not funded. There is no committed actions to progressing de-amalgamation. So my recommendation to still be compliant with your timeline to adopt your budget by the 30th of June is that the actions to progress the de-amalgamation project be reflected in the DPOP. However, your long-term financial plan and budget will need to be updated past its adoption with the incorporation of your new scenarios and re-exhibited. And that should occur in Q1.
Councillor Sheldon, are you up to closing debate now?
Yes, look, I do have concerns about it. I think the report's great and all the rest of it, but looking at what's been in here, the financials, the ongoing impacts, the QBR3, its results, which aren't very rosy, and then next year's budget, I have real concerns about it. That's all I've got to say.
Thank you. Okay, councillors, we have 8 recommendations there. Can I just compliment the CTO on the report and the explanations? Thank you very much. So we've got 8 recommendations there. All those in favour? So we have Thompson, Hayes, Hardwick, Wirtz, Ham. Against we have Inglis, Lata, Sheldon. Thank you. Well done. Okay, councillor, 10.3 on page 33, councillor professional development. And thank you, councillors, put their hand up for professional development and take time away, as Councillor Sheldon's going to be going off to Maitland to participate and make our council better informed.
Councillor Wirtz.
And Councillor Wirtz.
You're going to?
Oh, that's an online course. I'm saying,
look forward.
taking time away, which you are, sorry, but not overnight stays.
Well spent time.
So we've got, do I have a mover? Councillor Sheldon, seconder. Councillor Hardwick, Councillor Sheldon.
Yes, look, the report's pretty clear. I will admit that from the time the author started writing this report to the time it actually was printed, the dates have changed. It's actually on page 34. It's got that I had attended the course on May 12th. It has now been moved to August 22nd, along with an audit one also has been moved later on.
That's
And
next
I just want
financial
it
year.
noted.
That's next financial year.
Yeah.
Okay,
just
thank
want it
you.
noted.
Councillor Thompson.
Can I just think, why, just a clarification on page 35 in the table that's there, why is it assumed that we're all going to go to the destination and visitor economy and?
No,
If you
that's
did.
just the,
That's if we did.
yeah, that's if we did, that's just the cost
Right.
and the
Aren't you?
impact on
That's,
individual
that's
budgets.
so if Mayor Ham slipped out, she'd be really in debt.
Yes.
Okay,
a lot
thank
of
you.
Yeah. Councillor Hayes.
As we near towards the end of the financial year and, you know, we might want to go to something if, I have a fair bit of fat there and I'd be happy if another councillor needed a little bit more just to go somewhere, I'd be happy
The
to.
CFO's not happy with that.
I know.
He's been looking at this with a big smile on her face.
Councillor Sheldon and yourself seem to have.
Okay, councillors,
A little bit of.
all those in favour? All those in favour? Yep, unanimous. Thank you. Okay. Count 10.4, page 37, councillor mayoral fees for 26-27 financial year.
Oh, I'll move that.
Okay, councillor Hayes, seconded by councillor Sheldon. Councillor Hayes.
Look, I'll speak to this. You know, you always get people who'll criticise councillors being paid very little. And that's what it is. Now, sure, it's gone up a little bit in the last few years, but I think most of us know that it costs you money to be a councillor. It costs you a significant amount of money to be a councillor because you have to give up work. And also, some of us choose to make fairly serious donations to organisations in the community, which you know, which is what I do, and I'm happy to share that if anybody wants to know where my fees go. But I think it's a very, very small portion of the budget, and I think if we don't take them when they come up, it ends up like rate pegging, and suddenly you're behind and you can't attract decent councillors.
You never get it.
So that's why I'm moving it.
Anyone else want to speak to it?
Madam Mayor, can I make, last week in Sydney, when it was spoken about, and I'm sure the minister won't be watching us today, it was incredibly disappointing that somebody asked him the question and he had I'll use the word audacity to say basically volunteers. And it's quite insulting to think that the expectation on councillors is to turn up, to be prepared, to have an understanding, to be available to the community, to travel to other areas of the community and engage. And you're expected to do that as a volunteer. And then on the other hand, they want you to make really important decisions, whether it's through IPNR, whether it's in relation to our aged care facilities and things like that. So there is an enormous level, and it's not just the Snowy Valleys that identify the importance of recognising what our councillors should be paid. It is a statewide thing. It's a bit like the financial assistance grant dilemma, but it is true is that we need to be able to provide a level of remuneration that enables people to be able to consider running for local government.
Thank you, Councillor Thompson. Councillor Hardwick?
Yeah, I just want to speak to that as well, Madam Mayor. Just in my own personal capacity, the difficulty faced to run a small business and have a working life, the council portion is a huge impact. And obviously we want to have representation from the whole community going forward, whether you work, whether you don't, whether you're a mum or you're raising kids, whatever.
Absolutely.
And I just want the residents to know, I suppose, the significant impact, and that this is just, it doesn't cover the cost of the hours that you spend to represent council, particularly if you run a business or if you're as well, and the impact on your job and your life and your family, and it is large.
Minister Honig,
Professional. Yeah.
Minister Honig spoke the other day of this is our love of civic duty, and I compliment you all on your civic duty. I think, and particularly that debate what we've just been through with deamalgamation, I really know that it was considered, that you take this job very seriously, and I do appreciate what you all do. Thank you. So we have 4 recommendations there. All in favour? Unanimous. Thank you. 10.5, draft Snowy Valleys Council Information Guide for Public Exhibition. So this will go out 28 days. Councillor Thompson. Councillor Hardwick. Seconded. Councillor Thompson.
Just very, very quickly, Madam Mayor, in relation to, and in the attachment, number 10.5 attachment, the information guide itself, on page 115, just in relation to, council is not required to make government information available in any way that would constitute a breach of copyright. Is that, just seeking a clarification, is that because it would be deemed as commercial in confidence if somebody was to produce either a DA with specific plans and diagrams, and so that there is that commercial or even specific costings? Just seeking some clarification, because I know that we're all about transparency.
For you, Madam Mayor, Councillor Thompson, my understanding is it's not commercial in confidence as such. It does relate to copyright law. So because that organisation has drafted those plans, they are a copyrighted. If that makes sense.
Yep, understand. Thank you.
Any other comments, councillors, apart from that we need a new council photo? But all those in favour? Councillor Larder, thank you. Councillor Hayes, you're in?
I'm not really sure. No, I'll go against.
Okay. All in favour except Councillor Hayes. Right. 10.6, rating treatment of short-term rental accommodation stay. 3 recommendations there. Councillor Thompson, seconded by Councillor Wirtz. Councillor Thompson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just a quick question to the Director for Community and Corporate. A block of units and flats, are they classed as residential or are they classed differently?
Class residential.
So they're classed as residential. Motels are classed as
Commercial.
commercial. I'm a little bit confused because I think if you've got a block of flats with, I can understand one standalone Airbnb not being considered as commercial. But I struggle to understand a block of flats that may have significant dwellings in it because it's a very different scenario to a house on a block. But I can see that the legislation doesn't support us changing anything anytime soon, which will probably make a lot of Airbnb people in our Snowy Valleys area relieved. Yeah, I'm still surprised that blocks of flats are considered to be residential.
Any other discussion, councillor Wirtz?
Yeah, I'm just curious about obviously the recommendations say maintain the status quo. But I haven't seen too many other options in the report in regards to other ways to not just reclassify the business rates, but perhaps there's a fee charge. Is there any other option? Has that been investigated in terms of STRA accommodation being paying their way? I think that the amount of people that are utilising the STRA properties in the local areas is probably increased, given the increase in demand for accommodation from Humlink projects and Snowy 2 and all of these industry coming to the town, and that infrastructure's needs to be provided for those services that they use. So wondering what the other options might be.
Through you, Madam Mayor, Councillor Wirtz. So in terms of recommendation 3 there, so it's advocate for amendments to the local government plan 3 to provide clearer mechanisms for rating. So we're talking about rating here within the categories for STR properties. And if you go to page 47, under alternative approaches, it does highlight some things that council could do. So we could advocate for the creation of a specific rating category or the introduction of targeted levies as well. But this would need to occur not just in our LGA, but it would need to be advocated.
It'd be good for the local government, New South
Yes,
Wales.
yes, because all of councils are in this boat.
So in terms of the levy approach, that's like a fee?
Yes.
And
that would have to be essentially sort of legislated.
You can't apply certain types of fees for.
That's something that I'd have to explore. I don't know off the top of my head if council can do that. My understanding is not. That would have to occur statewide.
So that's legislated.
So you're thinking of with
like a tourism levy?
Yeah, or
well, I mean, there was talk of tourism levies and
things like that
in the past.
Yeah, I think we should keep our
under
eye.
that banner. It's worth to investigation. I thought that might have been the path that you go down as opposed to business rates, but yeah.
Byron Bay, I think, yeah.
Well, Byron Bay, when we were looking at that, was reducing the maximum
60 days.
stay limit
Right
to
down.
60 days per year.
60 days.
As opposed to 180 days. Now, yeah, otherwise I'd have to apply for a DA as an actual business.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah.
Right. Councillor Sheldon.
My comment is there is a way you can do it, but that's through Airbnb themselves. Victoria do it. No one's exempt in Victoria. There's an 8% or levy put on top of your accommodation. And that's done through Airbnb.
Airbnb want to come and speak to us. Yeah, that hasn't worked out yet. So
it's where do you start and where do you finish?
That's right.
Because any rental is a commercial enterprise, isn't it?
exactly.
Yeah,
We'll
but
see you, Councillor Larder.
profit on a short-term rental as opposed to a long-term rental.
Councillor Larder.
Well, I just want to say I'm very glad that the staff got the outcome right here because I think in 2026, it's all too easy for governments to start whacking people. And we've seen that in the latest budget. I mean, it's an absolute disaster for all sorts of businesses and tourism. Here we are, we're a tourism town. We don't want to be taxing people unnecessarily. I mean, you look at a block of flats, well, I've always looked at a block of flats and thought they were residences. And if people want to negative gear them or they want to Airbnb them, well, that's up to them.
Didn't forget that.
We don't want a situation where, like in the federal court, they decide that, males can go into female toilets. I mean, it's madness.
Thanks, councillor Larder. Okay, do you want to close debate? Oh,
I didn't ask around.
it wasn't you, it's councillor Thompson.
Wasn't asked some questions before, but
Yep.
I think the importance of this motion, I'm going to speak to the motion, is that what the report was trying to gauge.
So this is a question.
Well, no, I think it's a statement.
You've had your debate, so it's got to be a question or a clarification.
I thought I was asking all the questions.
You get one
You've got
chance.
to do it in order.
One chance.
Ask questions first. I was just so important is to make sure we have rental accommodation for people to actually rent. If we become a visitor economy, great. But
in the meantime,
if there's nowhere to rent, then we're not going to have people to support that visitor economy.
Yeah, very good point.
Yeah.
Thank you, councillor.
Great question.
You have a question?
Oh, I thought that was a great question.
Great question.
I got his question. I understood.
Councillor Thompson.
I understood. Supporting what Councillor Wirtz has just said, we do need a balance of everything. And let's be honest, what is the catchphrase that is around everywhere? And it's about housing and housing affordability and housing options. And I think that any community needs a good balance of residential, short-term, long-term, and motel accommodation and exceptional.
It's all right. I'm a large investor, according to councillor Larder, not a small investor.
So I do understand, but this does not take away the opportunity for us to look at opportunities down the track of how do we find that balance? Because if you've got the block of flats and they're all individually owned by the people living in them, that's residential. If you've got a block of 6 flats owned by one person, then that becomes business. And I think these are the things that we need to be looking at. And so it's a starting point. Thank you for the report. It doesn't mean that we can't review it at some stage.
Okay, councillors, we've got 3 recommendations there. All those in favour? Unanimous. Go.
You're up, Councillor.
Okay, 10.7 quarterly budget review as of the 31st of March. Councillor Sheldon.
Just
Moved.
open it. It's got to be.
Seconded by councillor Hardwick. Councillor Sheldon.
It's been a tough year and I think it's showing, but it's actually, you look back at last year's QBR3, it's very similar. We are slipping further and further behind. This time we have had extenuating circumstances and there are
With the
costs.
fuel.
Beg your pardon?
With fuel.
Fuel and just wages have increased quite considerably.
Yeah.
But I think the real thing that concerns me is if we look at this thing, our income has dropped substantially from, the forecast is from $52 million to
Which page are you on?
8.4 million.
Make sure we're all on the same page.
Page 51. Council is projecting a $14.5 million downward drive. I love the way the CFO said a very unfavourable budget movement. I thought that was very nice and very polite. It was a slippery slope down the hill. But it just goes on, and I think we've got to be very consistent. And it just brings to mind, we've seen all this media about the Brindabella and the 37 million. Now that's great, but the scope of work of that, because of the upgrade of cost, that's going to impact it quite significantly. Then you have a look at all the pages. There are some queries that I do need clarified. In the first.
So we're on an attachment now?
Oh, still on page 53,
Still
madam.
on, okay, just make sure I'm on the right page.
So trying to keep it all onto the one document. I've only
Sure.
got one question outside.
Okay.
if we look at page 53, on reading on the graph, I need some clarification on the green arrows. Are they improvements or non-improvements? Because green means improvements to me.
For you, Madam Mayor. So, yes, that, for the income line item, green means it's an increase in the income. But for the expense line item, green is an increase in the expense. So it should have actually shown as red as opposed to green.
Thank you.
Shame.
And then I think I do need clarification because it, here on page 52, it says that we're going to current total borrowings, bottom paragraph, are predicted to be 3.3 million at the end of the year. But then at the bottom of it, it says year to date borrowings are tracking at $3.5 million. Could we have some clarity? Is it 3.3 or what, 3.5?
Through you, Madam Mayor. Yes, so the expected result as at the end of the year would be $3.3 million. We still have 3.5 in the loan, and we still have a couple of loans that needs to be paid out in the next couple of months, May and June. So it will drop down.
So it's good news story.
Yeah. Right, now, just to confuse you a little bit more, CFO, page 53 again, profits on sale of disposal. Annual budget. It's an unusual figure, $2 million, just sitting out there by its Pat Malone. Could you explain that, please?
Absolutely. So that line item, profit on sale disposal, it's not a profit, it's a loss because it's sitting in the expense. So it's a loss on the disposal. However, that $2 million is essentially based on the prior financial statement. So in previous years, for the last 3 years, we've taken up an average of that amount. And because the capitalization process is still going on, we don't have the actual disposal number. So we've actually taken up $2 million as the projected number for the year end.
Thank you. All right. And now I have gone to an attachment, Madam Mayor.
Onto the attachment. Great.
Page 125. You, under income and expenses budget review statement. 1, user charges and fees. 550. The first accounting treatment of these duplicated charges remains subject to review and may change upon council's providing the required supporting documentation to the auditors as advised.
So this, through you, Madam Mayor, so this is relating to the write-off of the duplicated charges. So in the past, and that's going back to 2015, 2016 financial year. And because it's sitting in the audited financial statements, it has to be a write-off. We cannot really reverse out those charges. So we've had a duplication on the debtors module, and we've had a duplication on the RANds module in Tech 1, which is essentially the growth and development teams charges. How it has accumulated over the years, and one of the items picked up by the auditors last year, really briefly. But since then, as part of this year's financial statements, we're doing the right thing, and we're essentially writing off the duplicate charges. When the financial statements, when the auditors are here, they may basically say that you have to adjust the prior financial statements. And then in that case, it is an adjustment to the retained earnings, which is a section on the balance sheet. Then it's not a write-off in this financial year. It's not a hit to the P&L as an expense in this financial year. But that will all be finalized once we have a working paper from the growth and development team. And once we understand what that impact is on the financials.
One more question or one more clarification, which will probably please Councillor Inglis. FBT for this year or for this quarterly, because I know Councillor Inglis has been very interested in the leasing and the FBT part.
Through you, Madam Mayor, we're finalising the FBT as we speak. It's being launched today. The total payable BT is $131,000. So yeah, that's for everything that we have.
The year
Staff.
per annum?
Correct, yeah. From 31st of April, 2025 till 31st of March, 2026.
Thank you. I'll make a closing statement.
Councillor Hayes.
Just a question, the referendum expenses, 240K. Do we expect to receive that this financial year?
We're not receiving anything.
Okay.
They just haven't sent us any.
Yeah, yeah, got that.
Yeah, so the referendum costs have not been paid yet, but it's been adjusted in a previous quarterly budget review. So yes, it has been budgeted for, just not paid, yeah.
The other one was the Grahamstown Road Safety Grant. Been down there a few times too. It looks good. Done a marvelous job. So pass that on for them as well. And the other one was the septic tank pump out. Just the use of overdue to Snowy 2.0 villages recently.
So is that the increased income? Sorry, councillor, what page you on?
Says overdue, but I think it meant 430K over.
Not overdue. Due to
Maybe
a typo.
Maybe a comma.
Yeah.
That's all. Thank you.
Can I just ask now that my understanding through Elgar is that we will get 80% of the FAGS grant now this financial year. That has not been put in here.
It has been included.
It has been
in this
included.
$2 million. So if we don't receive that 80%, then we have to use external or internal reserves because we don't have.
But we have got guarantee now. Yeah.
You should send it on the 30th of June.
Oh, yeah. 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 Councillors, any other comments? Councillor Sheldon?
Not just to close, look, yeah, I just think this highlights next year's budget highlights, but also one other thing that we've got to bear in mind, we've got a lot of carryover work that'll be moved into next year's budget, which is going to further impact income coming in and going out next year. So we've got to be really careful moving forward about our overall finances because we are on a slippery slope, especially with the de-amalgamation at our doorstep.
Would you mind if I just ask, reminded me of a question
Oh,
for
no,
the
you
Director of
can't.
Infrastructure? I know you're close. But have we signed off on the Brindabella Road yet?
No, they're still requesting additional information. So there's no grant funding due and develop.
If we can help in any way, please get that to us. Okay. Councillors, so we have the 1, 2, 3, just the two recommendations there. All those in favour? Unanimous. Thank you, councillors. Okay. 10.8, Statement of Investments. Councillor Sheldon. Councillor Hardwick. Councillor Sheldon.
Nothing.
Councillor Hardwick.
Happy. They're going up.
Councillors, are we all in favour of moving the statements of investments? All in favour? Unanimous. Manager report, HumeLink project update number 6.
Sorry.
Councillor Thompson. Seconded by Councillor Sheldon. Councillor Thompson.
Oh, Madam Mayor, where do I start?
Where do I begin?
I know, it's there are so many issues within this report, and because it's for both HumeLink East and HumeLink West. And again, I raised the traffic forum that, you know, they can override any regulation or legislation that everybody else has to abide by, which is why we're ending up, as I said earlier, with the little tiny bit of 80 kilometres in the middle of the 100 going out to Go Cup Road, which is why at every turn that you want to make going between here and Cumberumba that there's signs and then they slow you down, and if you get stuck behind a truck, you're stuck. There are so many issues of concern within the report, and even looking at the the road safety report. HumeLink East only had 3 incidents. HumeLink West had 16. Then they were supposed to have a safety day last week. I'm assuming that the interface officer hasn't actually given an update to anybody to actually say how that was going, but we were told that there would be those safety days when we went for the tour out there quite some time ago, Madam Mayor. And, you know, they make the comments, the engineering construction certificate review, it says under section 138, and that's on page 70, under section 138 of the New South Wales Roads Act, transport and local government are the road authorities. And yet we don't get to say what they can or can't do. It just highlights the issues that surround projects of state significance, and they can say basically whatever they want. We look at the water usage, we look at the difference, and that was one of the questions. I don't quite understand how. Sorry, that's in the next report. I'm getting confused with my views. It just frustrates me. It's a brilliant report. There's a lot of information, but there's so many concerns that it raises in here. And as a local government area, we don't have the opportunity to say no. The conditions that have been put on them, they just change with anything. And I say it time and time again. To be honest, I don't care how much the road maintenance is, because it's not about the maintenance of the road use. It's about the impact of the traffic on that road. And at the Buck meeting that we went to only a couple of weeks ago, 293,000 kilometres of travel in 1 week. That is a phenomenal amount of traffic that locals are having to contend with. 293,000 kilometres, and that was only in HumeLink West. So the concerns that I raise time and time again are not in relation to just the standard of the road, but it's about the way they changed the rules and regulations. They didn't have to put turning lanes at any of those intersections. They just have to put up signs. They don't have to comply with the signage that everybody else does. They can do as they want. And I think that going forward, any development application of state significance, we need to be raising traffic concerns, not road concerns, not the pavement. It's about the impact on other users, whether it be landowners, whether it be school buses, whether it be our visitors with their caravans. So the report is comprehensive, but it actually raises a lot of concerns. And it was also stated to us that a significant number of the drivers for these projects are not necessarily from Australia, and so they find the conditions in rural and regional Australia very challenging, including the wildlife and the road pavements. So thank you, Madam Mayor.
Could I just ask the General Manager, the construction reference group has one member per council. Who attends that?
Sure, it's our manager of technical services, or is it Anne?
It's Anne.
It's Anne, isn't it? I'd just be really, I think she's probably done this report too, hasn't she? And it's yeah, of course, outstanding and whatever, but yeah, it would be, just love to know exactly what gets covered in that.
Because there are going to be major disruptions again up near the camp in Mondaga and Bago.
And they're increasing the number of people.
But the sections of road that are now going to be reduced down even lower in speed limit, which creates frustration. And trust me, I'm sure everybody in this room has been behind someone who drives you crazy, and then suddenly someone behind you overtakes all of you. And it's anyway.
There are traffic jams at 6:30 in the morning. It's just frightening.
It's like
the amount of traffic at 6:30. I had a question regarding the roads. Do we maintain Bachelor's Valley Way, the road into Visy?
It's got the list there.
through you,
They're
Madam
not
Mayor.
allowed to travel on that.
Each road, every road is listed in our road agreements.
Yep.
Off the top of my head, I can't answer your question.
Yeah.
I'm happy to come back to you with those listed.
Would that be east or west?
That'd be,
It's all here.
It's on page 67, the road.
yeah,
so-
but it's,
It's not on either.
Or,
I couldn't see it, and it's
No.
the road into Visy.
Yep,
Main road
It's
is back.
fine if we're not maintaining it, if it's not our road,
it's, we're not.
I don't.
It's
think
not
they
on the
are.
list.
No.
not our road,
Is HumeLink using it?
but they're using it,
Yes,
Well,
so they've probably got a maintenance agreement with Fizzy.
Visy.
Yeah.
Who owns the road?
Busy, don't
Visy. Is Visy?
Would that be,
on
would that be
Yeah,
right?
Fizzy
Fizzy
No,
did
I
that
thought-
road, didn't it?
No, I didn't think Visy were allowed to travel on that road as part of the
the
conditions.
road
of
into
the-
Visy?
That's the road into Fizzy.
Oh, I
No,
thought
the
it was
bitumen
the
one.
one
Yeah,
before
surely
that.
that's Fizzy's
Yeah,
road.
Scudera Road.
They built the road. didn't
on the
they?
right.
Okay,
Yeah,
They built the road. Well, they paid for
no, the government paid for it,
it.
would you like the
Everything
director
else
of
out
there.
infrastructure
We
to
can find
follow
it.
that up?
Yeah, we can.
please.
Yep, certainly. Councillors, any other debate questions?
quickly,
Yes, councillor.
Is there any council oversight of these dilapidation reports?
Through you, Madam Mayor. So they come back to us to review. So they're obligated through the agreements to produce the reports and submit them to the council.
And how do you satisfy yourself as to the accuracy?
We accepted through the agreement the standard in the first place. So I guess we've given concurrence on the methodology to be used.
No, just the accuracy of the dilapidation that's being reported to you.
I verified by our engineering methodologies.
So they go out and have a look at.
Oh, do we go out and verify?
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
That's all.
Sorry.
And how does the water monitoring system work? Is it just reading the meter, or does someone supervise that?
No, it goes through a
monitoring
third-party-
system.
A third-party company keeps track of the records as water goes through all those meters. And they generate payment
In his card on it.
for use.
They paid for the installation of the.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
Right. I thought that was the case, but I just wanted, I've been asked the question now, no. Thank you.
So that's councillor Thompson. And do you want to close debate on that?
That's enough.
All those in favour? Unanimous. Thank you, councillors. Okay, 11.2, survey outcomes, adjustment of time parking in Tumut Town Centre, page 80. Three recommendations there. Do I have a mover? Councillor Sheldon, a seconder? Councillor Thompson, Councillor Sheldon?
Self-explanatory, the whole report and survey.
I agree. Okay, all those in favour?
No, I'll speak against it.
No, sorry, got excited there. Okay. Councillor Larder, why don't you go first?
Well, I think it's more important than just to survey the business holders. I think you've got to speak with the community. I think a lot of people are in favour of having 2-hour parking there. It's pretty hard to get things done in an hour. I think 2 hours is more of an accepted time frame. I mean, it's not Coogee Beach. We're dealing with regional people in a regional town. I just can't see why we wouldn't just make it 2 hours. I mean, if somebody comes in from town to go shopping or whatever they're going to do, it's not an outrageous time frame.
Yeah, I think we were surprised by the result. Councillor Thompson?
I agree with Councillor Larder insofar as it's interesting, the majority of people who, well, apart from the shop owners who do park out in front of their shop, and I think part of the issue of concern is that we really have very limited access to a ranger and enforcement of, and everybody knows that. People know that it's very rarely going to be actually monitored. And so to enable somebody to have 2 hours of being able to go at one end of the street, go and do what they need to do and go home is far more important. So I agree, it really needs to be the community as well. And the other concern that I have is that we do need to seriously look at the disabled parking that I know is acknowledged back here as well. But disabled parking is far more important. We're getting an aging demographic, far more people require it. It needs to be close to the doctor's surgeries and also the, dare I say, pathology and X-ray, so that people can access it where they need to. And the comment that was made to me is that there needs to be at least one parallel park disabled. Otherwise, you're taking the person with a disability out onto the main road and around to try and get them on a footpath. So,
So councillors Larder and Thompson, are you suggesting amendments here or?
Well, I'm happy to move an amendment to make it 2 hours. I mean, I don't know if anyone's been to the doctor's surgery lately, but I mean, you're in there 2 hours, late to get into your appointment. So I mean, it's just stupid to me. So I'll move an amendment to say 2 hours.
So your amendment motion is to,
Yeah, so one would.
Wouldn't we be
would
better
stay, and the number two.
surveying the actual
Yeah.
people
Mhm.
who park, not just making an arbitrary decision
Oh.
that.
well,
prefer, it's been there since 2022.
Yep,
so just defer?
just defer until we just, whether we can go out to the community, like, they've just gone to a few people and they've got this result, which is,
I think it's the capacity of the staff.
It's gone to the business
well,
owners.
why don't we
only.
take it to business Snow Valley?
And get them to do so.
What was
And
the-
I've got to be honest with you, all you have to do is go down the street, doesn't matter how long you're in there, and you see not many people are bathing 1 hour out parking in any case.
Because there's no.
No enforcement.
I was down there about 10 o'clock today and there was no parks in the main street.
No, there wasn't.
anyway.
There's never any.
The other question I had was,
That's gonna get worse.
We never have a problem.
it's gonna get worse if you could do
I
this.
drive down there.
But the question I've got, why that limited area? For example, the area
Don't have a
outside the
problem.
council is 1 hour, yeah? But it's not on this.
Yeah, I know one.
Why did they just pick something?
Because I
It's not
actually
on it.
think as a council, we voted on the time, that was out.
No,
that
no,
was
no.
our-
This-
In Tumut Town Centre. All right.
So why did
And
we
yet it's
just
in the
pick some
report.
bits for 2 hours and leave other bits as 1 hour?
That should be half hour out the very front.
I think that's what went to the.
Councillor,
traffic
shall we
committee.
defer this?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, okay, councillors. we-
This is deferred seeking further
Do what?
survey.
But that's
Yeah,
what we
what's
need
to
to,
do
what
what?
you wanna
We
do.
send a
Because
vote
if
on
you wanna
it again in the
survey
last
the
time.
whole community, there will be sort of budget implications.
Well,
Well,
I
why
think
don't you-
give it to the.
Listen, can I just make a suggestion? Rather than doing something expensive and time consuming, why don't you just put something out on the media, Snowy Valley's Facebook page and let the community have some input? We can just gauge
Put
it.
up a poll.
People sheet.
People would
Like,
like
sheet
like
survey.
for yes.
Go nuts.
You know.
Go nuts. Across the whole of the snow. Valley.
Community engagement strategy.
No, so what? do we just
Councillors,
do?
we have to have a recommendation. Has anyone got a recommendation or we vote it down?
Thumbs up for 2 hours, angry face for 1 hour.
It's been sitting there
Yeah.
for 4 years.
4
You
years.
want to change that motion in the future
2023,
because of community input? Come back.
Yeah, so
a
If
new
we don't make
recommendation.
anything, we can
Yes, I'm not going to listen.
come up with something for next month and
Okay, so
The status quo will remain.
did
for
you
the
move it?
time being
For the time
until we,
being,
yeah.
until such time you're ready to-
yeah.
to do
Okay,
otherwise.
councillor Sheldon, listening to the Director of Infrastructure there, do you want to close debate?
I've got nothing to add to everyone else's debate, Madam Mayor.
Okay.
I will go with the throng.
Okay, councillors, all those in favour, put their hands up. We've got councillor Inglis,
Motions.
councillor Hardwick,
You
councillor
want to
Worth,
continue with the 1
councillor
hour?
Sheldon,
Yeah.
councillor Hayes. Okay, and against, you've got councillor Thompson, councillor Larter, councillor Ham. Thank you. 11.3, Drinking Water Management System Annual Report for 24-25. That is to be noted and endorsed.
Move.
Councillor Thompson, seconded by councillor Hayes. Councillor Thompson.
Sorry, I do have a question. On page 87, how come that in Batlow and Brungle, the, where is it? Here we are. The operational target for filtered water turbidity is 0.2, and yet when you go to Tumbarumba, it's 0.4, which is doubled. So you're allowed to have twice the turbidity in Tumbarumba?
It would have something to do with the treatment processes available for that particular plant and the approved level still within health standards. I'll have to do a bit of digging on that one to come back with a.
Okay.
Thank you. That was my question.
Okay, councillors, do you want to close debate on that?
No, ask a question.
All those in favour? Noted. Well done. Unanimous. Minutes of the Batlow Cider Rail Trail Steering Committee Extraordinary Meeting. Now that's pretty important. Oh, sorry. And then number 2 is to note the intent to progress Blue Skies proposal at a value of the money they've got there in the bank. Councillor Wirtz. Moved. Seconded by Councillor Hardwick. Councillor Wirtz.
Yeah, so I was in the meeting and we did decide to progress, Councillor or Mayor Ham was, the Mayor was also in the meeting, and we did decide to go with Blue Skies proposal as we thought it was a better option. And I think it's the first step in, progressing the Batlow Cider Trail. I think it's a good first step. I think the next is finding the funding to actually facilitate that business case. And there's a number of, once we do get the business case, there's a number of grant opportunities available for of different varying scales that the New South Wales government has out there. But to actually apply for those grants, we need a business case. So this will allow that to happen. Obviously, there's no money available in the budget, but there will be some possible other avenues of grant application.
They're very aware of our fiscal handicaps.
I would advocate that if there is some form of grant application where it's a 50-50, that council, should engage with that opportunity. Anyone else like to?
And it's quite a switched on committee that are working very hard to make this happen.
Yeah. And also, there's opportunities. I know we didn't get the funding from HumeLink grants that were available, but there's opportunities there with the the teams that are available there to progress access to because it's not just the railway line, it's also the road down to the railway line, which needs upgrading as well.
And it'd be good to have a meeting with the Director of Infrastructure to go through that and just see what things are possible to do now with some of the HumeLink equipment.
Exactly, yeah. That while it's there and accessible.
Yep.
Madam Mayor, the only concern I have with putting in this resolution about should a grant become available that needs 50-50, it concerns me that at the moment we haven't identified where that money could come from. I think that should a grant become available, then we can have a notice of motion that we look at the opportunity to fund it.
Yeah,
but I think tonight.
I'm not suggesting an amendment, but I'm just saying that.
Oh, I thought you meant.
Foreshadow, I suppose.
So this motion allows them to go out and find the.
Yes.
Yes, this is just noting their intent.
Their intent.
Oh, I was not committing any funds.
Yeah.
No, but I was just picking up on Councillor Wirtz's.
I mean, whether we get a full grant or a 50-50, we don't know.
Yeah.
Where that might come from.
Yeah.
But we can write letters of support.
We can.
Yes.
We can write letters of support.
Really good letters.
Yep. Okay. Closing debate there. You're happy, Councillor Wirtz?
Yes.
Councillors, all those in favour? Councillor Lardner, yep, unanimous, thank you. On to 12.1, I can see people are busy. There is something important I need to say at the end of the meeting, so people could just wait at the end. 12.1, Youth Council Committee. There's one recommendation there. Councillor Wirtz, Councillor Hardwick, Councillor Wirtz.
I'd just like to note the efforts that we're doing with the Youth Council. There's a lot of good initiatives that we're trying to get the young youth involved in the community and hoping that we can get them more involved. Had some excellent response for the cinema night the other month, in the youth week. There's plans for another footy trip to see the NRL games, which was a big success, and also potential ski trip to Sunderland. I think it's a great thing. So yeah.
Thank you both for your work. Yes, Councillor
I
Shane.
have a question.
Sure.
I noticed it's good to see fundraising. You had fundraising activities in the
Yes.
minutes. Has the youth committee done fundraising before, or is this a new initiative? And if it has done so, how much are they raising good amount of money?
Yeah, they're sort of trying to cover the cost of a few things. We're trying to raise money. We're doing sausage sizzle and show bags and selling food and at the movie night we had like a popcorn stand, that kind of thing. So I think it was about over $900 that we sold at that cinema night. So it's not a huge amount. But in terms of covering costs,
Like anything going in the greens.
it's what we're trying to.
The initiative is there.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Councillor Hardwick.
I would like to foreshadow, if possible, that Councillor Wirtz and I would like to go speak to the local schools at an opportunity that we can work alongside council staff to get some information packs and stuff together to get more engagement into the youth committee and show people, what avenues being a councillor can take you down and the learnings you can have from that. So I'd like to go forward, create a plan, pick a day, engage with the schools. Doesn't have to be in the next month, but within the next few months that we engage that
That
process.
would be excellent. We want more young.
Been trying to get some
councillors.
of the leadership, like the SRC,
Yep.
school captains involved. Is that sort of the people?
Exactly.
Mm.
General managers.
Yeah.
We grow them here.
We do.
Homegrown.
Children check.
Councillor Thompson.
Hey?
Madam Mayor, the first thing I'd like, just thank you so much for having the minutes included within the business paper, not just as an attachment. I think it makes it so much easier to actually
doesn't
see it in front of you. And I just would really like to commend councillors Wirtz and Hardwick in relation to this. When you read the opportunities are here and you start looking at the planning, and also I suppose we need to acknowledge our events coordinator in here as well, who is almost like an unofficial youth officer, but it's what it needs to be driven. And between the two councillors and the events officer, there are opportunities here and we need to provide whatever support we can to try and encourage more young people to see the merit and the benefit of being part of a youth council. And I do look at all of the movie and pizza night, trivia and pizza night, games and pizza night, PlayStation and pizza night.
I like pizza.
They like pizza.
Pizza's got.
Works.
It works.
Beer
And
and salad.
so
Who needs a bonus?
congratulations on what you're doing. And I think we all would love to see some increase in the numbers of the committee for you.
It's a very difficult thing to do. Like,
It is.
the more was disappointment, obviously, for you, but years ago when I was doing it, we brought Eskimo Joe to Chairman. People didn't come.
Yeah.
Go figure. So,
But the movie night was fabulous.
yeah.
Do not work well. Yeah.
And the footy trip.
And the footy trip.
And the footy, and
Footy
there's
trip
another
will work.
footy trip coming up.
What you think might work?
Yeah.
What doesn't, people work.
Councillor Wirtz, are you happy to close?
Yes, have the close debate.
Okay. Councillors, all those in favour? Thank you. Councillors, before you go, I just do want to acknowledge the hard work of the Falling Leaf Festival. That was fantastic. Batlow Cider Fest was fantastic. The fact Kokoda took all the Tumba school kids to Kokoda and they all came back safely in a very good trip. We've all been given a copy of the Lifestyle magazine. Thank you to all councillors, because I think you all helped get community. We didn't have the funds to do it, so you've got community groups behind it. And we are in the midst now on the front page. So well done, Snorri Valley. So it's a beautiful magazine. And
Available at,
the newsagents
Participating.
and participating.
yes.
Yeah, right.
Make sure to get your copy.
And look, I would like to reflect on the passing of former councillor Peter Cross and his wife Kate. Yes, Peter died last week. His funeral.
Kate
Thank you.
didn't.
No, Kate didn't.
Kate's still with us.
Yeah, and it was, thank you, councillor Thompson and councillor Hayes for being there at the funeral the other day. But Peter he was a councillor under you when you were mayor.
Yes.
And yeah, best wishes to Kate and Jess and the whole family. on his passing. So councillors, thank you very much for today. Have a good month.
And if you're not doing anything next Tuesday at 11 o'clock.
Got one.